All right. Welcome to the Indie Corner After Dark. We're not only talking about all things independent comics, but everything comics. I'm Mikey.
I'm Seamus.
And today, people, are back at again with another episode of the Indie Corner After Dark. Episode 30, Seamus. 30. We finally have 30 episodes.
We hit 30. Oh my God. This show's almost to run for president.
Yeah, right?
There's 5 more episodes.
but yeah, episode 30 of the Indie Corner After Dark podcast, where obviously, for people that haven't realized or have lived under a cave for the past, few days, we're in 2025. So Seamus, Happy New Year to you, bro. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to everyone watching as well. Hopefully it's not a terrible one for you. But yeah, as always, people, ever since New Year, gotta do a wrap up, gotta do a recap. So we're gonna be talking about the best and the worst comics of 2024 for you. And yeah, Seamus. I mean, I'm excited because again, like the reason why, we're late, obviously, because there's so many bangers this year that we just kept changing stuff around with our slides and stuff. So it was a lot. So for people that were waiting, thanks for being patient. And yeah, man, it was a good year for comics. So I'm definitely excited to talk about it with you, Seamus, of course. So yeah, thanks for joining me, bro.
Yeah, this is my favorite episode of the year because we just get to be excited about comics.
Yes, sir, bro. It's just us talking comics and talking, praising, and also talking shit. Which we will be getting into this year. But yeah, bro. Let's just get into it. Obviously, first things first. Obviously, as per tradition, for people that haven't seen us do a best and worst before, let's just start it off. I like to do a quick, in memoriam, for the artists, writers, or people in the comic industry that have, passed away last year. There was unfortunately a good amount of like well-known and important people that passed last year. Just to name a few, we got Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball Z, Ed Piskor, known for cartoonist kayfabe and hip hop family tree. MD Bright, who's known for like Icon and Quantum and Woody. Don Perlin, who is the co-creator of like Moon Knight back in the day, and like a bunch of cool characters in like the 70s and 80s. As well as John Cassidy, who is the known for Astonishing X-Men, Planetary, and some of the Star Wars comics from Marvel. And also another big one that we lost last year was none other than the boy, the goat, the guy, Benny Potter, aka the comic historian. Which all these names I've made posts about on our community tab. And yeah, man, it's Seamus, real quick, you want to let's all do a moment of silence real quick to commemorate the creators that have passed away. All right. And we Gucci. All right, yeah, and also there's probably a bunch I didn't mention as well, but it's still, the sentiment is still there. So yeah, I just want to do a little quick memorandum for that. And yeah, Seamus, all right, now time to get to the nitty gritty here, bro. Just to start off, real quick, obviously we want to do what we did last time? We want to just start with the worst comics first, and then go into the best.
Sure, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, because I figure our worst list is like smaller than our best our best list. Actually, no, sorry. Rewind the tape. We're supposed to talk about. We forgot the most important thing to start it off, bro. The whole what we did last year. Yeah, the good old fashioned Indie Corner Awards, fam. So. Real quick, people. So we're gonna this segment, the Indie Corner Awards 2025. So pretty much we give highlighting different highlighting the best artists, best writers, different people who've done the best shit in terms of accolades throughout 2024. And yeah, man, we'll just get into that real quick. But yeah, people. So the Indie Corner Awards 2025. And we're gonna start this off with the first category of best writer, and yeah, so we're gonna get right into it. So the best writer and me for how it works, people. So I have a list, and then Seamus has a list. Seamus has a pick for each category. So it's gonna be 2 picks, one from me and one from Seamus. But yeah, to start it off, the best writer, my best writer of 2024, goes none other than to Jed MacKay. Jed MacKay, of recent Marvel fame, known for books such as the current Moon Knight run, the Blood Hunt run, the Blood Hunt event that just happened, as well as the X-Men book, the current X-Men book right now. Man, listen, man, Jed MacKay, I've been a fan. I've been a small little fan, but for the past how many years, ever since Taskmaster,
we're known to be little fans of Jed MacKay.
Little fans of Jed MacKay, but I feel like after getting into Moon Knight, and also like pretty much he's I feel like Jed MacKay and has become like kind of like the Donny Cates or like the Hickman roles, where he's like where Marvel points like their guy to pretty much write everything, and it's pretty much it's been this guy, and he's been doing it very well. He's not disappointed at all. I mean, not with just the books that I just mentioned, but I think he had a Doctor Strange run that happened this year as well. He's been killing it so far. So that's gonna be Jed MacKay is going to be my favorite writer of 2024. Sorry, Rodney Barnes, I love you, bro, but like he got knocked down a peg this year. But again, all love. But all right, Seamus, who is
coming back on the show now? He's not going back.
Yeah, true. But yeah, Seamus. All right, well, who is your favorite writer of your best writer of 2024, bro?
Yeah, all right. Jed MacKay was in the running for me, but I think that there was a book that came out this year. You're going to see a lot in my awards because I think it was a book that kind of transcended how I normally feel about the best and worst comics of the year, and became a book that I feel like could be a seminal comic book in the years to come, depending on how it goes over the next couple of years. But for me, the writer of the year was Denise Camp for Ultimates, and it's just Ultimates, man. That book has been incredible. When the Ultimate Universe was announced, I was kind of interested because I had Ultimate Spider-Man with Hickman's like an insane pick, and that had me excited. And when I heard Denise Camp was on Ultimates, I was like, oh, I really like 20th Century Men. That's a great book. But I was kind of interested to see the route he would go with this, because I feel like the Ultimates as a book, its history is not really the strongest. Even Hickman had trouble writing it after Ultimatum, and I don't even want to fucking talk about Mark Millar on the show again. But he came out with that first issue with focusing on Ant-Man and Wasp, and I was instantly like, oh shit, like this is something that not only has something to say about the continuity of comics, but he knows how to tie that continuity into a very prescient story about how the future is being taken away from the younger generations, and how it's up to those younger generations to kind of take charge to take it back, which is like the theme that kind of permeates each issue, but each issue focuses on a different aspect of that through a different character. So like issue 1, old Ant-Man and Wasp, and issue 2 Captain America, and so on. But his writing in this has been like shit that I haven't seen from a comic book in years. Like it's like, oh, this dude's like, no, listen, I don't want to say this because it's gonna sound offensive, and I love comic books, but it comes across as something where I'm like, oh wow, like this has some like literary weight to it. You know what I mean? Like this goes beyond the bounds of like just a fun comic book story, which nothing wrong in writing. You know me. I fucking love fun comic book stories that are just, yeah, it's comics, baby, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this shit was like something else entirely. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be talking about it much more.
Yeah,
in the next
I'm not
episode,
surprised
man.
by this pick. Obviously, for people who
Yeah.
checked out our episode 29 of After Dark, where me and Seamus were giving reviews about the Ultimate Universe and the Absolute Universe. Yeah, no, I mean, no, this pick makes sense. I mean, yeah, Denise Camp. I mean, this was my first intro to him. I didn't read 20th Century Man, even though I heard that was a good book. But yeah, he definitely with him writing Old Bits right now, and then obviously him incorporating complex themes that are very reminiscent of today's world, especially this current, especially this current, climate, in society. I think it makes sense why you pick him. So Denise Camp.
And I know he's a great writer because Mark Millar did the very juvenile maneuver of making what if superheroes were today and making it a parody where they're all gross and like evil people, and he's like, well, anyone with power would be a dick, whereas Denise Camp goes back to the roots of comics and makes these characters champions of like the underdog and the working class and people who just aren't given a fair shake, and people who as of right now are like don't even have the chance to even like live their lives, which I think is like so much more important and so much more interesting than like anything the Ultimates has done previously, except for maybe that weird run they had with Al Ewing with the Lifebringer Galactus, but that was a whole different team. But
that was a whole different team. But yeah, man, and but so Denise Camp, Seamus' best writer. I'm gonna again. I know I didn't blabber about Jed McKay, but I'm gonna have to talk about more about him later. That's why I did mine quick. But all right. So moving on to the category of best artist. So my best artist of 2024, and I was telling Seamus before we started while we were preparing, this was hard for me because there were so many great artists from a lot of the books I've read this year. And it was tough. Like and a lot of the styles are similar. Some of the styles from some of the artists I thought of were starkly different. But for me, there was one artist that just resonated with me the most throughout the course of 2024. Reading, looking at their work. But it is none other than Alessandro Cappuccio. Listen, man, it's especially just on his run on Moon Knight, pretty much on his run of Moon Knight alone. I loved every second of his work. I think it was between him and Checchetto for me. Checchetto, again, similar style, just very detailed work, but like there's something about Alessandro's art where it's just the flow to it. Like it's just like a really cool flow, and it's detailed. It's detailed, but like very, how can I say? It's a lot more. There's a lot more. He takes a lot more creative freedom with like the wacky stuff that he does on the page. Like I don't know, here when you see on the bottom right corner, like that shot of the Shroud like showcasing his power to Hunter's Moon and Tiger with the wings made out of darkness. I was like, what am I looking at? Like, what is this? Like, there were so many moments that I had, like those all moments that I had with his artwork throughout the course of the year, that I was like, yeah, no, he's the best artist for me for sure. For 2024. But again, a lot of great artists. Like Casper Wingard was great. There's a lot of good artists here, but he just, for me, just because he stuck in my mind the whole time I was reading comics this year, last year. So
yeah,
shout out to Alessandro Cappuccio, bro.
I agree. He was great. I think his the way he uses light and shadow to make everything look way more like ethereal is like such a great match for a Moon Knight book and for Blood Hunt, because it just makes everything look like very like mystical, which I like.
Yeah, it's and I think shout out to Rachel Rosenberg, but her colors complement his work so well.
Yeah, I think his work honestly wouldn't be as good as it is without her coloring, because her coloring goes like, I mean, just the colors used in these pages that you put up, like
go hard, bro. So well. It's vibrant. I like especially when she colors Moon Knight. The fact that like she makes Moon Knight's like suit like glow, like a suit, give it a supernatural like hue and glow to it. I love it, man. It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alessandro Capuccio, you're the boy. You're the guy of 2024 for me, bro. Yeah, Seamus. So who is your your best artist of 2024?
I'm back to Glazing Ultimates. I picked Juan Frigeri just because Juan Frigeri is like, this shit looks so good. And I partially picked him because the art is really good. The art is really good. But some of his redesigns, like you see with the Ultimate Guardians of the Galaxy, are just like, I'm like, these are like such cool and interesting redesigns that if you did these as their own new characters, they would be like instantly recognizable and cool as hell. You know what I mean? Like Ultimate Star-Lord and Ultimate Nullifier, which I like that his name is Ultimate Nullifier. But they just look so cool, and like the Doom redesign and the Iron Lad redesign, and as you can see with Ultimate She-Hulk too, it's just, I think his redesigns have been like really on point, and his art is also just complements it so well. And the way he will make artistic references to other runs, like with the Hawkeye issue, making a lot of Matt Fraction run references, and to like David Aja's like bubble zoom-ins with like the arrowhead tips, or like with like Immortal Iron Fist run references, and that one in the issue where they're fighting the Hulk was just so. I think he's been like he's a good artist, but like the way that he knows how to correctly redesign a character and correctly reference another run while also sticking to his own style is like impeccable to me.
Yeah, I think it's like honestly he was also on my favorite artists on the list. Even though like. Well, I personally liked more of like the Chichetto, like Capuccio's work, just because of the amount of detail that they put into it. Not saying that he doesn't, but it's just like, but I there's something. Even though his artwork is good, there was still something like I thought that those other artists added more, that added a little extra oomph to it. But I do agree with you that I think his redesigns are incredible. Like I honestly thought they're some of the best redesigns. Redesigns on this year.
Yeah. Juan Frigeri is like the Tim Duncan of Marvel artists right now. Like he's Mr. Fundamentals. Like he's not the flashiest fucking artist you've seen, but like he can redesign a character, which is something not a lot of other people can say they can do. Because sometimes I see some of those new redesigns and I'm like, what were you guys thinking, man? But these look cool, dude.
But yeah, like that Hawkeye redesign I thought was great. The Doom, I love Doom. I love Doom's look. The Guardians look ridiculous, look crazy. They look insane, and I love it. But yeah, no, I do. Yeah, he's like, for me, he's solid. But I do agree. But I do agree with you that his redesigns are really good. He was flexing his creativity a lot with those redesigns for the Ultimates. So I agree with you, bro. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, any more thoughts, Seamus, before we move on to the next category?
All
right. So people, so the next category we're going to talk about real quick is the category of best cover artist. And for me, again, like no cap, I was really paying attention to covers this year. I really wasn't. Not as much as 2023. But yeah, it was. But again, there was one. I got put onto an artist this year, artist who was known for their covers for a while. Who later did their own series this year. But that artist who I discovered and now love I'm a huge fan of their work is none other than Peach Momoko. Her covers are, I don't even know how to describe them. They're simple yet they're simple yet beautiful. Like Peach Momoko, coming from Japan, is a very talented watercolor and mixed media painter, and the fact that she incorporates that painted her painted work in her kind of more like Japanese, like manga oriented style with these characters that she's making the cover work for, I thought was beautiful. Like as you can see here, like her ultimate X-Men cover is like one of my favorite covers that I saw her artwork. I saw her do in terms of her cover work for the whole year. Then you got that Spawn she did for that Spawn cover she did recently for Todd McFarlane was like amazing. Her ultimate X-Men covers, that Deadpool cover for like the recent Deadpool series, that was really cool. Yeah, it's like very, very beautiful, very, very intricate, like good watercolor work, very detailed. But again, like I do like the fact that like this is like fine art, but it's kind of like, but it has that that manga Eastern art style to it that I really appreciate. And again, she incorporates a lot of those Japanese motifs and like from Japanese artwork into her work with here, like a lot of flowers that she uses, and a lot of Oni's stuff, a lot of like stuff from Japanese lore. She puts in details of that into her work. It's beautiful stuff, man. So Peach Momoko, best cover artist 2024 for me.
Her stuff is part of why Ultimate X-Men just works so well. It just works with that story, which is why I'm glad she's writing in and doing the art for it. But
yeah, for sure.
I think I'm like pretty sure mine is the same from last year. Even though this is still an Ultimates glaze, it's still my pick from last year. And my best cover artist of 2024 is DK Ruan.
DK Ruan.
My boy.
He was on your list last year? I thought it was on my list last year. Well, no, mine was.
It was one of ours. I might have been both. But yeah, because his cover for Miles and his cover for I think he did like a cover for Nightwing that looks sick as hell. But this year it's for Ultimates and those fucking Ultraman vs Avengers books.
I've not checked those out.
Shit. The covers for those just it looks so fucking cool, dude. They look so cool. But those Ultimates covers, each one was like interesting as hell. They just like that Fantastic Four one and the Hawkeye one. Oh, both of those look so cool. But yeah, and then he's got like Ultraman punching Galactus in the head, and you're like, yeah, this guy like just knows what a cool cover looks like. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love these covers. My criteria for every year for cover artists is, could I put this up as a poster on my wall and be like proud of it? And so far his was like, yeah, because that Ultraman cover, I'd be like, if that was on my wall, I'd be like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, bro. I mean, his covers for Ultimates so far have been really good. And obviously, like when he was doing the Miles covers, we talked about that, last year. Though his Miles covers were fucking amazing. Like they were. Yeah. Which one was the one that we had? Was the one where he was like fighting Hobgoblin with the sword, and we're like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, DK Ruan, man. I mean, I don't blame him. He's a great artist. So yeah, congrats to DK Ruan for being dope. But yeah, next category, people, is the category of best creative team. And again, not a lot of, again, for me, it was kind of a no-brainer, due to what I was reading and how much of the stuff I was reading. But for me, the best creative team of 2024 is none other than the Vengeance of the Moon Knight and Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu creative team, which is consists of writer Jed MacKay, artist Alessandro Capuccio, colors Rachel Rosenberg, letters VCs Corey Petit, cover artist David Paratori, and the editor Devin Lewis. Again, it's kind of the same thing that I said, with last year with the Chip Zdarsky Daredevil team. It's just like the amount of it's a good example of a creative team just like working so well together that you don't want to see them not work with each other all the time. It's just like, like Jed MacKay with his writing, Alessandro Capuccio, like, killing him with the penciling. Rachel Rosenberg complimenting Alessandro's pencils with her coloring. Like, even the lettering is really good. They were Paratori with the kind of painted, kind of like real, like more painted, rendered, realistic style that he's going with his cover work that kind of gives you like a nice, it draws your attention. So when you look inside, like, holy shit, this is really good art here, really good interiors. With with really good artwork on the exteriors. Like, his artwork is really, his cover art is really good. And then Devin Lewis, man, not being Rob Love, not being Nick Love. Just,
I hate Nick Love.
Yeah, yeah.
Why do you have to bring up Nick Lowe, dude?
Because I want Nick Lowe to listen and learn. This is what you do. This is what you do with your creative team. You let them cook, because then you get good shit. You know what I mean?
And stop putting random heads on Spider-Man. Put like a good writer on Spider-Man for once, please.
But yeah, man, it's just this creative team is. And again, they've been consistent. They've been doing this since 2022 with their first start on Moon Knight, and they're continuing with eventually Moon Knight, and then the relaunch with Fist of Khonshu. And again, me and Chambers were talking about this off camera, but before we started, I love the fact that Jed McKay is just cheating the system and just relaunching the title so that he can keep working with this team and keep cooking with Moon Knight for as long as he can. I love it. So yeah, guys, best creative team, Moon Knight team. Y'all are amazing. Keep it up. Please. Yeah. Yeah, Seamus, who is your best creative team in 2024, bro?
So, I didn't pick Ultimates, actually, because here's the thing: I feel like best creative team is more of like a without any of these pieces, the whole book falls apart, and I think for Ultimates. They've swapped out Juan Frigeri for Phil Noto for an issue or two, and it still worked. And they, you know what I mean. And I feel like the team isn't like cohesive enough that I'm like, without any of these pieces, the whole book would be shit. You know what I mean? But for me,
I got you.
That book has been the best creative team has been for X-Men with another Jed McKay book with Ryan Stegman on art. That whole creative team, I think, has been inseparable purely because I think they are all working as one, and it's such an interesting book to me. And I think that without Marte Gracia on colors, without Ryan Stegman on art, without Jed McKay writing, the whole book I think would be like kind of shit. But all of them together, kind of form this team that makes this book super interesting to me. And I'll probably end up talking about like the actual details of it later because it's on my best list. But, it has been my surprise favorite of the year because I liked issue 1, but issue 2 I instantly was like, oh, I don't know why that hit wrong or whatever. I just didn't like it. But then since then they've come back, so. I don't know. I just really like everyone on this book.
I got you. Yeah, the X-Men team has been pretty good. I mean, again, shout out to Ryan Stegman, but I knew Ryan Stegman was just a Spider-Man artist. I didn't, but I was very impressed to see him, have his own spin on the X-Men, especially because obviously with the new initiative with X-Men, they're going more X-Men 97, like classic X-Men vibe. So I thought I didn't think his artwork would fit that aesthetic as well as it did. So, and then Jed McKay as well, he's Jed McKay. He's writing everything and he's good at it. So
yeah, because I like how that Gail Simone book is like, hey, we're doing X-Men 97, and then this book is like, hey, what if Scott was like entirely? What if we had a team of characters who are entirely sick of having to be genocided every year, and they're just like, "Fuck this, dude! I hate this."
Yeah.
Which I like. That there's like one team that's like, we're all hopeful that the future can be changed again, and then Scott's like, we gotta do something different, dude. I can't be changing how like home addresses every 5 years because it gets bombed.
Mm-hmm. No,
I
feel you
like
on
the
that.
I like the dichotomy between the two main titles, and I think this one's just my favorite purely because that team is like just so different and interesting, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a great
for sure.
book. It's honestly a great book.
All right, bro. So yeah, the X-Men 2024 creative team. All right. So let's move on. So now we're gonna move on to the category of best one shot. And again, like last year, I've stated this. I'll say it again. Me and Seamus are not fans of one shots. I barely read them. Like until but there was a one shot here. And Seamus, you told me as well that we both like last year with Timeless, we both share the same one. But there was one shot that stood out to me, not just because of the person writing it, but also because the person who was co-writing and drawing it, who I am a fan of, and he is a friend of the channel because we've interviewed him before. And it was the book was none other than Doom #1, written by Jonathan Hickman and Sanford Green, with art by Sanford Green and colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, with cover art by Sanford Green from Marvel Comics. This one shot was a surprise because it came out of nowhere. There was no really there wasn't really a precedent for it. It's just like a random Doom one shot. And the moment, and obviously we're reading Hickman stuff, especially with the Ultimate line, and me being a fan of Sanford Green stuff since like Power Man and Iron Fist and Bitter Root, I was gonna read this the day it came out, and then I didn't do that, and then I waited months, and I waited months to read it, and then and it wasn't until a few days ago, before we did this podcast, where I actually sat down and read this, and then when I read it, I felt so stupid for not reading it earlier because it was incredible. It was incredible. I'm loving the fact that I'm loving. I want to see Hickman write more Doctor Doom, like just straight up. Just seeing how he's been writing Doom in the Ultimates right now. Seeing how him set up Doom in the Ultimates before Dennis Camp took it over, but in the Ultimate line, but this
it was not even Victor.
Yeah, it's not even Victor.
Not even Victor.
But the fact that it's just I want to this one seeing it because it was an alternate timeline where Galactus just took over everything and just ate it and just devoured as many planets as he could, and just the world ending, and the only two people that are alive are Valeria Richards and Doom and Doctor Doom. I like the fact that it was just like Doom being the end all be all of the Marvel Universe. Well, this version of the Marvel Universe I thought was really, really good. It was really entertaining. And just seeing his perspective on just his side of like how the downfall of the Marvel Universe via Galactus was terrible, but also like expected, due to the nature of like the Marvel heroes. And I loved it. And again, it just when this man fought, well, first off, when Valeria gave him like an ounce of the super soldier serum, like a bunch of the shit, a new suit that had like 3 cosmic cubes in it, and like the powered by like the power of like a celestial, and she gave him like some serum from like made out of like the blood of a celestial, and this man was fighting like 3 molecule men that were the heralds of Galactus. Insane. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave it to you, bro. What are your thoughts on this one shot?
I read it when it came out because, like you said, I'm not really too big of a fan of one shots. I knew there was a Doom one shot coming out, and I was like, I might check it out, whatever. And then I saw on Twitter they posted, they were like, yeah, this thing starts with an MF Doom reference, and I was like, oh my god. And MF Doom, Hickman writing Doom again with Sanford Green on art, that was like, all right, I gotta check this out. It's time. And so I read it when it came out, and I was like, same thing. I was like, thank God I get to read more of Hickman writing Doom and Valeria, because that relationship that he created back in the day was so good, and it's still one of my favorite like just comic book pairings ever. It's just so good. talk more about this later. You'll see why. But
Okay.
this one shot was just so fucking good. I loved it. It was, it's like the only one shot I needed this year before.
Me too, honestly. And the thing is, it's like and Sanford's art, man. I think he's done. I think this is the best artwork I've seen him do in a long while since Bitterroot, bro. It's phenomenal. Again, it's just Marvel should do the good. Should just let these two just make like a Doom ongoing or something like together, because I want to see more of this. Like or at least like more of them doing a Doom story. And obviously this Doom story ended in a way where I don't think it should continue. But it was phenomenal. It was a very good surprise, and the only one shot I needed this year. So, yeah, Doom, baby. All right, so the next category here, which is the one I added, which is a new category for this year, but is the category of best back issue series. So a series, or a series that has ended that you went back to, that you went back to in 2024. Which again, we always backtrack comics, so obviously this is gonna be the one back issue series that you read throughout 2024 that was your opinion was the best. So for me, my best back issue series, which again, man, me and Seamus have talked about it before, at being friends and comic book fans. Guardians of the Galaxy came out the year prior, in 2023, and or was it last year? Was it last year? No, was it last year?
I think it was 2023.
Okay, we'll just go with that.
Yeah.
2023, and ever since then, I've been wanting to go back into a series that I read briefly when I was a kid, but didn't really go back to. But I always loved the artwork for it, like the cover art especially. And and always wanted to get more of a deep dive. So my best back issue series of 2024 is none other than the 2008 Guardians of the Galaxy run, written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, penciled by Paul Pelletier, and cover art by Clint Langley from Marvel Comics. The Dan Abnett run of Guardians of the Galaxy, I loved it because the compendium, I downloaded the compendium. And I've only read half of it so far because it's a big book. Sorry, not the compendium, but what's the omnibus? Whatever. What am I talking about? I read half of it, and no, it was the compendium. So I read half of it, and I was I loved every second of it. I thought it was so good. But the fact that I didn't know that because it started off with a Star-Lord miniseries that Dan Abnett did. And I didn't know that the Guardians initially were formed just to essentially be a Kree Suicide Squad. And I kind of loved that angle. And yeah, just seeing, them going out, this version of the Guardians, you had Star-Lord, Adam Warlock, Drax, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Quasar, and Gamora. And again, it's you can see where the MCU is taking inspiration from with the series, but just seeing this version of the team, and it's a very kind of it's what's the best way to describe it? Kind of like because they go out through their adventure, the way it's written, they go out through their adventures, and then they do like a testimonial recounting like how their shit went awry. And it was like it's like really like it's actually like very funny, but also very badass and all that stuff. And again, this series is great. If anyone who loves the Guardians of the Galaxy, but yet wants a different take on the Guardians, so like the different take on the Guardians that they're used to in the MCU, read the Abnett run. It is phenomenal. And again, I kind of wish in the universe we kind of got a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, that French trilogy that was more akin to this. This run. So, but yeah, Abnett's on the Guardians. Read that shit.
That's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Seamus, what is your best back issue series of 2024?
Mine was one read due to another run that I was reading, because I was reading Ryan North's Fantastic Four, and I've been loving that this year. his because I caught up on that I think earlier this year, and that run's been incredible. I think the way he writes the four and the way he has them living on the Grimm family farm in Arizona is great. I love that whole thing. I gush about this book enough, but it made me want to go back and read, which is my back issue series of 2024 is Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four, because I read it in a while and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go through the whole incursions up to Secret War again, and I'm gonna read all Hickman shit. And I started with Fantastic Four earlier this year, and I was like, I forgot how much of a treat I'm in for because that shit was so good.
Seamus, are you sure it's Sean Hickman's Fantastic Four? Because I see something different on here.
Yeah. Have you tried refreshing your page? Have you tried refreshing it, Mikey?
What do you mean? What are you talking about? Okay. We'll refresh it. Even though the Terrifics is a dope book. No cap. Yeah. It's a dope book.
Yeah, I like Terrifics. I did read Terrifics earlier, and then I was like, because that was my slide from like 4 hours ago.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I just didn't refresh it. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yep.
But yeah, it is.
Terrifics is a good book. I will say Terrifics is a good book. Please read the Terrifics. But I thought about it more, and I was like, I like Doctor Doom. So yeah,
fair enough.
That's my book.
Fair enough.
That's my back issues book of this year. And then I'm sure next year is going to be like Hickman's Avengers, and then the year after that's going to be fucking Secret Wars, and Illuminati. But yeah, I'm going to be going through the whole thing just because that's how I feel like
Hickman
it right
Glazing.
now.
So
Hickman Glazing's fine because he's
That's fair. And also, don't get mad at me, but like I haven't read Hickman's Fantastic Four, even though I've heard it's good. So
yeah, dude, go through the whole thing, and you're gonna be like, "Oh,
it is."
But yeah, this series is like, I still think it's one of his best. So
okay, fair enough. But yeah, all right. So I think it's the last one. Best publisher of 2024.
We got the same one for this one.
This is it this? Oh, do we actually? Okay.
Yeah.
Because for me, this was not really tough. Remember last year for us it was Image. And the thing is like, even though there were some good Image books this year, I'm not gonna say there weren't. And from other publishers, of course, but I simply picked this one because they had a lot of good books this year, and I haven't read this much of this publisher in like the past 7 years because it was there because they were dropping a lot of bangers. But the best book publisher of 2024 is and it's loading, goddammit, but it is none other than Marvel Comics, people. And Seamus agrees. So yeah, Marvel Comics was the best publisher of 2024. Even though they had some books that weren't as good, but they had a lot of books that were this year. And I probably think this is like, I think it's only going to go up from here to the amount of like Ultimate books that are going to be coming out and stuff like that, and how many runs are going to continue.
Yeah.
The runs are going to continue.
They got Ultimate Wolverine cooking that's coming out in like a week or two, but I think my rationale for picking Marvel is just that Marvel had their big whole like relaunch and everything like earlier in the year, and DC just happened in November. So I think that next year is going to be an actual more of an actual like a battle between both of them, because DC is going to actually have the books out and not just be like a bunch of single issues. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm interested to see how that goes once it eventually best of 2024 next or best of 2025 next year would be like an actual difficult picking between both of them, I think, at least because the first issues of all those all-in books have all been actually really good. So
yeah, And and thing is like, yeah, all my most of my ongoings that I've read, most of them limited series, most of the one shot, the only event I read was all Marvel. And again, I have not read that much Marvel like in the past 7 years after All New All, but when All New All Different came out. So I was like, yeah, man, they've killed it this year, man. And I was surprised. I surprised myself. I was like, holy shit, I read a bunch of Marvel comics this year. Marvel kind of killed it this year. But yeah, man, Marvel Comics, best publisher of the year. And you'll know why when we go through our lists. But yeah, that's pretty much it, people. For the Indie Corner Awards. Again, congrats to all of the winners. Y'all deserve it. All right, so we're gonna be going into our worst books of 2024. And because again, these lists are not going to be as long, and probably even if they are, we're going to just breeze through them. But yeah, Seamus, you want to go first, bro?
Yeah. I'll show what's I'll list people's going on.
Yeah, just give it a share and just to take us through the journey of the books you hated of the year.
It sucks to say that kind of have a few, but let's start at the beginning. Let's start from the top.
All right, there you go. Gucci. All right, so
we're gonna preface this real quick. Tom King was my favorite writer last year, and part of being a Tom King fan is realizing that he's gonna have 1 year where he's great and he's on fire, and he's gonna have another year where he's like the most offensive writer you've ever seen touch a comic book. And that's just part of being a fan of Tom King. And unfortunately, this year we got the most offensive year of being a Tom King fan, which I haven't seen since he wrote Batman. But
that's so funny.
Wonder Woman was on my list for best last year because the first 3 issues were out, and I really liked those 3 issues, and I really liked Tom King, so I really thought this was going to go in a different direction. But unfortunately for me, it's kind of gone down a path of he doesn't really understand Wonder Woman, and he's kind of misappropriating a lot of her imagery for thematic reasons that don't really add to her character or understand her character. And it's one of those things where it's same thing with Batman, where he just doesn't get the character, and it just ended up not working at all. And her whole thing with the Sovereign and shit is just so hey, what are we doing? And a lot of the appropriation of American iconography for her doesn't really make sense because she's not even American, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so you can't really have her care. They're having her do Captain America-esque I care for the flag type beats when it's dude, this lady's a Greek goddess. What? She doesn't give a fuck about America, dude. She cares about saving people, and the only reason she has the stars and stripes is because fucking Steve Trevor was like, hey, you should wear this because it represents hope back in the day. But yeah, I just don't think he does anything interesting, and the stuff he does try to do is a severe misunderstanding of the character. So I dropped it this year, and I was like, ugh.
How far did you get?
I got whatever the issue was that came out in September or October. I forget which number that is, but I tried to stick with it, and I just was this was pissing me off. It was that one. It was literally that one where she's bleeding on the American flag, and that's when I was yeah, I'm closing this book. But yeah, I forget what was next, but as soon as I see it, I'm sure I will go into a rant.
Also, I'm making into a clip, by the way. That you being oh, Tom King is the best writer ever, and you going he's shit.
Yeah, that's what happens. Year to year, it changes. I also want to preface this pick with, this is not necessarily one of my worst books. I think it is it's my most disappointing book of this year, because this book started with the same trajectory as Ultimate X-Men, where both were kind of slow starts, but I could see I could be okay, if it's a slow build up at the start to a rousing 12th issue kind of area, then I would be excited for that, which Ultimate X-Men did. But unfortunately, this book for some reason just hasn't been, I don't know what it is about it. I just feel like it's been kind of slow, too slow for its own good, and nothing much has been really happening. in the sense that we're not getting good character development and we're not getting good plot development. So we're kind of stuck in a rut where people are saying a lot of things and doing a lot of things, but nothing is really happening. And it's not bad because some of the stuff is interesting, and I really like the Sorcerer Supreme they introduced, and I like Moon Knight and Raw. You know, I like Killmonger and I like Storm, but it just feels like none of them actually end up doing anything. And T'Challa isn't really changed in any meaningful way that kind of makes this differentiated from the Ultimate Universe, because I feel like you could just say this was in the main universe, the 616, and I'd believe you. You know what I mean? Other than some costume, and be like, yeah, you know. So I think that's why this was so disappointing for me, because I was impressed by the heights that the other 3 books reached, and I was just kind of like sad that this one, which should be as exciting with all of the pieces that they've introduced, just simply ended up didn't be like getting there. So I hope it doesn't get canceled, and I hope it has a second year that's like much better, because, you know, I think it's interesting, but I wouldn't be surprised if they canceled this book and they were just like, yep, there you go, you know. But I hope it doesn't, because I hope it comes back, because I like Storm, I like Killmonger, you know. They were cool, but it is what it is.
We have slightly different perspectives on this, so I'll talk about it when I get to talk about it.
Yeah, it's one of your best, and then you're gonna be like, oh, I like Black Panther, and that's it. And then I'm like, all right, cool, man.
Why are you okay? Don't just assume that. Are you like,
yeah,
why
I'm
are you
stereotyping you on this podcast now, Mikey.
Oh my lord, this is profiling. Next one, Seamus.
All right. Anyway, next book, X Factor.
So my eyes roll.
Me and you read the first like 2 issues of this, and like I don't know if I'm dumb, but like I just was like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? What are we doing? I kind of get it, but also like it feels like they're doing a little too much. Like there's like this stuff's happening here, and that stuff's happening there, and that stuff's happening there, and it's like, listen, if you're gonna make a team full of the reject characters, you got to make me care about the reject characters first before you start doing all these extraneous plot developments and points, because then I have to give a shit about these characters who aren't regularly put on teams before I can care about your big conspiracy plot, you know. Which like it just was like, because like I like Angel, I guess, you know. I like Wolfsbane, I guess. It's all characters that you go, I guess, too. So like to have them instantly thrown into this very like weird commentary on social media and influencers, while also being like corporate stooges, just doesn't really work, because it's like, I don't really care about any of these characters, so if they're getting played by corporate America, I don't really like care, because I'm like, what, like, so this is like my most book of the year, in the sense that I just didn't get it at all, and it was very weird, because like Ultimate Black Panther, I liked all the other From the Ashes books, you know. So it was just kind of weird to be like, oh, I guess they all can't be hits, but like I said, I hope all of these get better, so then I do have a reason to reread.
You have a reason to go back to them. Yeah.
No, I mean, I hope this bangs next year, so that way I can reread the conspiracy and go, oh, cool, look, that's where they were going with that, instead of just being like, oh. My last book, I have a real issue with. I have an actual problem with. And it sucks, because this is in a Tom King situation again, where I was like, I like this guy.
The thing is, I thought it was gonna be Wonder Woman that was gonna be like the one you were like, I hate this. You know? That was the one I hate this, but I felt sad to hate this. This was the one I hated this, and I felt like pure unbridled rage that I hated this. And that would and you know, sadly, I hate to say it, but that would be Jenny Sparks, because I like the Authority. I like Jenny Sparks. I like all that. And you told me Tom King was writing Jenny Sparks on a Black Label book. I was like, holy shit, we're here. You know what I mean? We're in it. I thought the same thing. I was like, we're fucking, yeah!
my God. And then it's the worst fucking 9/11 commentary you've ever seen in your life. And you're like, oh, good God, save me, dude. I thought you were finally going to have an interesting commentary on your time in the CIA, and then you fucking blew it by making it weird and just making it like, it's just so weird, and it makes me so sad because this was arguably as disappointing as Ultimate Black Panther was, just because it's like all the pieces should be there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's like, yeah, that's the thing too. Like when this book was coming out again, it's Tom King doing like an out of continuity type out of continuity Black Widow book. I was like, yes, I'm in for that. I love Jenny Sparks and the Authority because again, remember I read all of like most of the Authority after James Gunn announced that he was doing a movie for it. I love that Jenny Sparks. I love that character a lot. So I was like, yeah, hey, Tom King doing that character, dope. I read the first issue. I was like, I'm not really feeling this. It's not what I really expected it to be. And like, you know, it's I feel like yeah, like from the first issue alone, I was like, there's nothing really here that's like grabbing me, and that's unfortunate because I love the Jenny Sparks character. So yeah.
So this wasn't this is bad, but more like offensively boring bad, and not just like. But that made me even more mad because I was like, this should be incredible. Fuck. Yeah, that hurt me. This next one, I'm mad at, even though there's only like 4 issues, and it's less of like I hate this writer and more like I need the industry to stop doing this. Okay, and this is Detective Comics by Tom Taylor, and here's the thing. Listen, I need to look every writer of Batman in the eye. You don't need to do a Joe Chill story. We don't need any more Joe Chill stories. You gotta fucking stop doing Joe Chill stories. Please.
I remember we talked about this.
It's the same thing with the Clone Saga with Spider-Man. You don't need to keep doing your own Clone Saga. There was one that was bad. You're not going to be the one to make it better. Brian Michael Bendis did it in Ultimate Spider-Man, and it was barely good. Like, if he can't do it, stop it. So if no one can do a good Joe Chill story, just leave the fucker alone. And the fact that he's like, yeah, and guess what? Batman's going to sleep with Joe Chill's daughter, and that's his new love interest, makes me go fucking batty. Because it's insane to do, and it doesn't make any sense. And it's entirely a plot point that seems like it's only there to get readers to read this book through like salacious plot points of being like, Batman fucks Joe Chill's daughter, but Joe Chill killed Batman's parents. Ooh, and it's like, I do not come to Batman for this level of this stupid melodramatic drama. I don't come to Batman for this. You know what I mean? It's just it feels so childish. It just feels so like there's just nothing else. You really didn't have anything else, Tom Taylor, because that Nightwing run kind of showed that you had some good Batman ideas, and then you get on Batman, and then the first thing you do is like, let's do like one of the most maligned ideas that Batman has ever had, which is like, let's revisit Joe Chill. Oh, fucking come up with your own cool thing. Like, the reason Scott Snyder's run worked back in the day was because he just kept coming up with his own new thing that was interesting. And even when it didn't kind of work with like Mr. Bloom, he at least had another cool thing to go with it, which was like mech bunny suit Jim Gordon Batman. You know what I mean? So if you like, just start coming up with your own stuff. And that's also my issue with this isn't on my worst list, but I don't like it really as much, is Chip Zdarsky's Batman, because Chip Zdarsky's Batman is almost entirely, hey, what if we just like referenced other Batman stuff? Like, what if we just really referenced the Grant Morrison run and really referenced all these other multiverse Batmans, and you know, Zur-En-Arrh Batman is like integral to this entire like run, and it's like, I don't think that's interesting with Batman. I think Batman constantly needs to be doing new stuff with only slight references to his older, you know what I mean, his older stories that inform the new ones. But I just don't feel like it ever works with Batman when you're like, let's revisit an old story again, because then it always just goes like, this feels derivative. Because he's such an old character that when you start revisiting old stories, you're like, but this old story has already been revisited like 3 times before, so you're doing it for like a 5th time, and now it's going to be like just boring because I've seen this already and I know it doesn't work. But That's the only thing I'm mad about is the fact that Batman and Spider-Man seem to be stuck in this infinite hell loop of just being shit, and it just makes me sad.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that Ultimate Spider-Man and Absolute Batman exist, so I can at least have some solace, you know.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, but that's all I had for worst books of the year, and like half of them were just disappointing, and then the other half were like I was just mad at the industry for allowing it to happen. But
Mm-hmm.
no shade to any of these writers. Listen, everyone puts out a bad book every once in a while. It's not their fault, you know. They can't be on all the time. And you know, even then, I'm sure, like, you know what I mean? Like, every single writer I mentioned, I was like something else by this writer. That's why this is sad for me to do. So
yeah, and it's and this Detective Comics one is crazy to me just because like didn't Tom Taylor just come off of like an amazing like Nightwing run, like one of the best ever ones of all time.
That's what I'm saying. He came off an amazing Nightwing run where he had some cool ideas for Bruce, and then once he gets on the main book, he's like, well, let's sneak it up. And it's like, oh.
Yeah. And that's a common pattern. I feel like that's a common pattern. I think, like just in comics in general, where like, for instance, you had like Donny Cates back like in Marvel, like you had Donny Cates do like an amazing Venom run, and you had freaking Al Ewing do an amazing run on Immortal Hulk, and they swap books, and they're both not great. So like, you know,
they're both like kind of boring, and it's like, hey, maybe only take a book if you actually have an interesting idea for it, and don't just take it because it's Batman. Because if you don't have an interesting idea for Batman and you take a Batman book, then you're only going to be known for having the bad Batman book. You know, like Tom King, who we talk about all the time. He didn't really seem to have any like super interesting ideas for Batman, and kind of just like rehashed, let's do Batman and Catwoman again. And then it was just like, oh, but you don't really have a new angle to take, so it was just ended up being something similar but worse. And then now, poor Tom King, even though he puts out great books, is now going to only be known for the guy who wrote the bad Batman run and the guy who wrote the bad Batwoman or Wonder Woman run. And now you're going to be like, well, now no one's going to read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, even though that's fucking incredible. So
Rebecca, shout out to Rebecca real quick. She made a comment that's made me die, man. That's hilarious. She's like, Batman is where good writers go to die.
It's so true. Like, there's a reason they keep getting Scott Snyder to come back and write Batman, because he's the only one who's been able to write a good Batman run since. And even when you get a decent run, it's still by a writer who should be doing a great run. Like Ram V's like Detective Comics was like a decent run, but it's Ram V. Like, he should be putting up numbers on Batman. What are we doing? You know? So I will say Scott Snyder, and then that one Walmart Bendis book of that Batman Bendis book that I talk about all the time, where Bendis and King swapped books in like 2018, and Bendis did the best Batman book and King did the best Superman book, and then they were like, yeah, you know what, let's go back to our books that are getting maligned by everyone instead of just permanently switching.
That's funny.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah, before we move on to mine, I'm surprised. I thought you were liking Chip Zdarsky's Batman, so I would expect him to be on like either your honorable mentions or your best list.
No, I like it. I just don't like how we're still on the same thing. Because I thought that Zur-En-Arrh and Failsafe and the multiverse stuff was fun. And I was like, cool, this was a fun arc. Let's move on. But we're still doing Zur-En-Arrh stuff. You know what I mean? And now, you know what I mean? Because I like that. And I put that on my best because I was excited at the cool little stories we were doing. The little multiverse thing, but then when they're like, no, but this is actually like, we're gonna continue this forever, it's like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that this was like the whole conceit of the book, so now I'm kind of just like, oh.
And again, man, another case where Chip Zdarsky, before he did Batman, just came back from doing like one of the best Daredevil runs of all time.
It's like a karma thing. Like if you do an incredible run, you are destined to have like at least a mid book right afterward that you got to get. Like, they just got to dump all their negative energy that they were holding back from the good book onto the shit book, and then be like, all right, now I can write a good one again.
Facts. But yeah, bro. All right, so nothing else? You're good?
No, yeah, that's it for me for worst. I'll try to keep it short because I don't like to be. I don't like to shit on books because
exactly. Yeah, you're good vibes only.
It makes me feel bad because they suck, but also these are writers, like I said, who have all done good stuff. So if it was a writer who had only done bad stuff, then I'd be like, please get this guy the fuck out of my face. You know what I mean?
and here's gonna be the contrast with mine is because I only have 3 books on my worst, and I didn't know any of them before reading them, so I don't really give a shit. But yeah, so yeah, we'll go on to my worst comics. Again, I only have 3. Again, it was just like I didn't really read a lot of bad books this year. I try to stay away from bad books, but to one of these books was more of a disappointment, and two of the 2 of them, I'm like, no, these were fucking garbage. But yeah, let me just share my screen real quick. So real quick, people, one of my worst comics of 2024. So again, number 3 was more of a disappointment because I loved the concept of it. It was actually one of my honorable mentions of last year. And I read a good amount of it, and then it just dragged, and it just like, I felt like I was wasting my time, and I dropped off the book. But it is unfortunately Army of Darkness Forever, written by Tom Fleeks, art by Justin Greenwood from Dynamite. Again, you heard me talk about it last year in my honorable mentions. I thought the first few issues of this book were really good. Like I thought it was just fun, because I don't know, it's pretty much what if they took the deleted scene from Army of Darkness where Ash slept, took the potion, and then instead of going back into back to the present, he slept for too long and woke up in the future where the Kandarian demon and then the Kandarian demon ended up taking over the world because he wasn't there to save it. It started off so strong, and it was very fun because it involved Evil Ash from Army of Darkness, so it was really dope, and then it just kept dragging because the story was pretty much like it focused on 2 timelines, actually no, 3 timelines. So it was Ash waking up in the future and dealing with that and trying to find the Necronomicon to get home. You had Evil Ash in the present, so like so it was smart the way they did it, because the original ending for Army of Darkness, where it's Ash, back in the present, explaining to his coworker at Esmar what the events of Army of Darkness, and then he saves, and then a Kandarian demon, a Deadite shows up, he saves the day. But the twist was, in this book, it's the exact same ending of the movie, but the twist was actually Evil Ash possessing Ash's body somehow. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. And you had the love interest in the past dealing with trying to stop Evil Ash's resurrection. So it was these 3 timelines coinciding each other, but like it got to the point where, and it was mostly with the main Ash timeline, where it just kept dragging. Like, it's just him finding the pages, like nothing was happening. Like towards like the middle of the series, and I just dropped off of it. I was thinking to myself, maybe I'll go back into it, but I'm just like, they're better books to read in my opinion. I was just disappointed by it. But yeah, Army of Darkness Forever. Next book, number 2. This one I'm just like, now this book is just kind of like, there's one of those books where, like, when I saw this list, I'm just like, who asked for this? Mm-hmm. Why should we read this? And that book was none other than Sentinels by Alex Pecnato, with art by Justin Mason from Marvel Comics. I read the first issue of this, and I was like, this is just propaganda bullshit. I'm good.
Dude, I will say the only reason this got saved from my worst list is because I saw it and I didn't even fucking read it. Because I was like, who the fuck wants a Sentinels book in 2024, especially when it looks like you're not gonna have any cool new ideas that's a commentary on what the Sentinels are. You're just gonna try to make the Sentinels look cool as hell. Which is like, yeah, sure, dude. Let's throw out some more propaganda where we need to eliminate all mutants, pal.
Yeah,
sure, that'll be cool.
And it's pretty much just like these, like, I think there's like these former Orcus agents who get like, the Sentinel, either enhancements or body armor from like Trask Industries to go hunt down mutants, and I'm just like out of all the From the Ashes stuff from the Ash line, like this is like, why did we need this? Like it's you could just skip past it and be fine. And plus, like, it just wasn't interesting. It was mad. It just wasn't. It didn't really bring anything to the table. I honestly don't think they needed this book in this line and this relaunch at all. So
did they try to humanize the Sentinels by being like, well, they're being led astray, or like, well, they have feelings too, that they're and they try to like make these people who are like willing genocidal maniacs like be like, well, they have hearts too.
Yeah.
Not all cops are bad. You know what I mean? One of the I fucking hate that. I'm so glad I skipped this book, dude.
Yeah, you're good off skipping the book. Hold on for real quick. So hi to Dallas. Hi Dallas. We love you.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Deja's here.
Deja. But yeah, man. Honestly, people just skip this shit. It's not worth it. Probably this book. I hope this book most likely, because no one's talking about it, will get canceled. So I mean, it's justice will be served. I hope in 2025. And my last one, straight up, Seamus already mentioned it before. My worst book of 2024 is none other than X Factor. This book fucking sucks. I read again. I've only read. I think I read the first two. I told you. Well, I read the first two. Was like, it's okay, but like if the third issue doesn't grab me, I will drop it. And the third issue didn't grab me because I just, again, like it's totally all over the place because it's trying to be a comedy. It's trying to be like a fun, snarky, like comedy commentary on social media and influencers. The X-Men characters, I'm like, okay. I thought the first issue pissed me off because you have the main cover here. We have Angel, Wolfsbane. Havoc wasn't even in the first issue. And all this stuff. We got these cool characters, like these characters they bring in, and they die after either all of them, like some of them died or got injured, and you don't see them again. Like Angel, they did Angel so fucking dirty in that issue. It pissed me off. I was like, what the hell, man? And so this roster doesn't even matter. But then when they go into the Havoc stuff, which again I was mostly reading it just because Havoc, because I love the character and I like the homage of the homage of his costume in the 90s that Larry Stroman illustrated, because I love that design for Havoc a lot. It's my favorite Havoc costume. So I was like, okay, let's see what Havoc does. And it's just him just whining about being on a team and then also trying to figure out what like Polaris is up to and stuff because she's like doing conniving shit behind his back. It was just boring. It was just boring, and the writing wasn't really that great, and it just wasn't interesting. Like I honestly, after the third issue, I was like, where the hell is this book going? Where? Like it is what it is, man. I'm not jumping back into this book. I
knew you were gonna have this on your list too, because I remember I forget if it was like a call we had or something, but we were both for like 10 minutes just going like, what the fuck is this book?
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell I don't know what the point is. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know why it's here. It serves, it's like Sentinels, where it's just like, what the fuck are we doing, dude? Yeah. You have three other like incredible books that are like at least like really good. And then you have two books that I'm like, whoa, which I guess is like keeping in line with X-Men as X-Men's history. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're gonna have two really good books, and then the rest are gonna be like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's funny because the point you made earlier was that like you're right. Things just happen in this book, and they don't correlate or connect with it. They just happen in this book, and it's just like, and you're just like, what's happening? Like, what's going on? And it's like, yeah, it's just the characters, unfortunately, like don't really grab you, especially that one Granny character that just like her abilities that she's she loves to kill herself. Like that's supposed to be funny. Like what? Like what are we doing? It's yeah, but X Factor, Mark Russell, art by Bob Quinn. Art's good though. Good art.
Yeah,
but his writing is just not up to par. It's one of the worst X books right now, I think.
I want to take a moment to have this is the last time we can have our obligatory Zeb Wells Spider-Man on the list, because it's over.
Yeah, man.
We're free, dude. We made it out, and we're so yeah. I just want to say that I just want to give him a little eulogy for Zeb Wells Spider-Man. That shit sucked. That never got better. That continuously got worse. And when I didn't think it could get worse, it would get way worse. Zeb Wells, God bless you. Please do not write another comic book again. Just stick to co-writing MCU movies.
That's so
gosh,
funny.
it was so bad. I think Nick Lowe should at least be thinking of a career change, because I think the fact that not only did he like enable this run to happen, but he defended it every step of the way, including decisions that were outright maligned by not only the fan base but of like the people as like the comic community as a whole. I just think it was so offensive to the character. And you know what? I don't like saying this because I don't think artists should be listening to fans. I think what they should be listening to is stories and characters. And I simply think that the stories and characters that Zeb Wells was bringing to the table were absolutely just devoid of any kind of creativity, of any kind of nuance, of any kind of interesting new angle that you could take. And I think that's why the fans responded the way that they did. And I feel bad that he got, death threats and all that crazy shit. But like, you gotta, if you're
because
no
comic book creator should not be getting death threats from anybody.
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing: if you're being put on Spider-Man, you have to bring your A game. You are being entrusted with like this character who is not only important but also one of the most interesting characters ever. And you have the ability to do whatever you want. You're getting an opportunity people would like kill for. And you're going to come at it and you're going to give it like a cuck angle where he's just getting cucked for 50 issues and he's just whining the entire time. And it's like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? You're not telling an interesting story. You're just like writing like depressing like cuck porn that we all have to read. And there's like no, and the only reason that it still has the sales it does is because it's just got Spider-Man on the cover. No one's picking it up because they're like, oh, Zeb Wells' run is like incredible this time. I heard it's actually getting good. You know what I mean? And the only time I heard it was actually getting good was like that Tombstone arc right at the end, which it just got back up to a level where it was acceptable, not even like that good. But yeah, that run, dude, and John Romita's art, dude. It was so.
Can I cut in for this
bad.
one? Can I cut in for this, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I didn't read this run. I did see a lot of the artwork for it though, and as someone who grew up as a John Romita fan, I want to kindly listen, man. I love you. I respect your career in comics. I admire your career in comics, especially like the fact that you were a successful legacy artist from post your dad, R.I.P. But like, you gotta retire. Like your artwork has devolved for the past decade. Like it's unfortunate because again, I grew up loving his artwork, and it's just like it just stop. Like it's like if you're not gonna bring your A game, because I know his process when I watch interviews of the guy is that he doesn't have a style. His style is whatever he gets his deadlines finished on time. So whatever he can make deadlines for. So like just stop. Like if you weren't gonna bring your A game, just you don't need to be doing a Spider-Man book, bro. Even though you are a legacy when it comes to drawing Spider-Man. Back in the day, you were great, but now it's like nah.
You gotta know when to hang it up, and you can, and I think it's not You see, even Dallas was like, "What the fuck am I looking at?"
she's like, it's giving AI.
And because it just looks so like, and look like the way his leg bends doesn't even look. He's breaking his knee. And my thing with that's what I'm saying too, because Romita has done some of the best Spider-Man art, and I think that's why it sucks so much that he's giving shit art to a shit run. So you can't even say that this run has anything of value beyond like some like one or two issues where he's like Spider-Man's actually written like a character and not just like a whiny bitch. And again, I think a lot of this blame falls on Nick Lowe purely for being the one who is supposed to be the shepherd of Spider-Man and is constantly giving writers who obviously don't really have any kind of idea to bring Spider-Man to a new era in any kind of way a chance to write the book and then shitting the bed and then being mad at everyone for being mad at him for shitting on the book. And it's like, dude, if you don't want people shitting on you, then like maybe like step it up a little. Because look, like Jonathan Hickman and Marco Cicchetto are doing Ultimate Spider-Man, and they're doing stuff where Peter's able to be an adult and able to have a family and able to grow and learn over the course of issues, you know, the thing that we all want to see, and everyone fucking loves that book. That book sold insanely well. It beat Amazing Spider-Man in the sales, you know? And I think that's why it's just so insane to me that they are not only so bad, but they are so adamant in being bad that they don't want to change. And I think it's so sad to see that no one's going to get a chance on this book to do anything good until Nick Lowe is just not there anymore, you know? And I don't want to sit here and be one of those guys that's like, he should get fired, he should fucking be out of a job and whatever, because being out of a job fucking sucks. But if you're doing this bad of a job, maybe at least think of either changing the way that you're doing it or change what you're doing, you know? Because obviously you don't it's not working for anyone, you know? And I hate being like that guy because I haven't written a comic. I can't say that, but I can definitely speak from the point of view of someone who has read a lot of these issues and say, I really didn't like it. And by the sounds of everyone else's voice, they didn't like it either. So like, please do something different, because this also this who's writing it now? Because I read that
Joe
9 deaths of, yeah, he's not that good either. And you know, I don't want to judge based off like only a couple issues, but right now Joe Kelly's other fucking books were just like okay, you know. And so the best I can hope for from this run is an okay, you know, at least it's not offensive. But yeah,
I mean,
I'm glad I'm glad it's over, so that way we can move on and we can all just focus on something else instead of being like this angry and hateful towards something, because, you know, I'm done with it. I'm saying all I need to say. I'm very sad that this is the way it went for almost like 50 issues, but it is what it is, man.
It is what it is, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, I was saying, well, I was talking with me and Maddie and Rebecca were talking about this like a few days ago. But I mean, I was like, I mean, the one thing the best thing they could do right now with ASM is to like, I don't want to condone firing him, but like you gotta get rid of Nick Lowe. And it's like, you know, and it's like, because like I honestly think like he's been kind of poisoning the ASM line for like about a decade now. Like everyone who reads comics knows this, or at least reads Marvel comics knows this. And like I said that the higher ups don't do anything about it, but Maddie made a point where I'm gonna quote her verbatim. She said that I think it's more the opposite. Honestly, Lowe is definitely part of the problem, but I suspect that there's pressure on him from even the higher ups to keep ASM mediocre, because Spidey is a financial asset before anything else, even and especially a character. And some very rich people have a lot of incentive to keep him as quote unquote marketable as possible. So I don't think he's. So he said, I don't think Lowe is. I don't think Lowe is a disease. It's just a symptom. So that was what
no, because listen, he still is in a position of power where he's the editor of the line. You know what I mean? You can say there's pressure on him to keep Spider-Man marketable, but based on the quotes that you've gotten from a lot of the writers, there is a strong sentiment among a lot of the writers of this era and the editors of this era that they like when Spider-Man is single, when he's young, when he gets to do all this melodramatic stuff. I think that is the actual cause of this issue, is that they are so adamant on their view of Spider-Man that they don't want to stop to look around and listen to everyone else tell them that is not the way that Spider-Man should be going. You know what I mean? Because it's obvious that the most marketable Spider-Man that you can make right now is Spider-Man as a family man, because Ultimate Spider-Man sold fucking like 7 printings. You know, like what? It's so obvious that it's less of like, you know, it's so obvious that it's less of like, oh, this is the most marketable Spider-Man, and more, this is what we believe Spider-Man should be in our hearts. And it's obviously the wrong direction to go, because, you know, ever since One More Day, we've been regressing him. He's been going backwards because they didn't like the marriage, because they didn't like that he was going to have kids, because they didn't like that he was growing as an adult. And it really comes down to the fact that they don't agree with the character development that had been done for like 30 years, and they decided to wipe the entire playing board so they could go back to what they wanted to write, which is weird cuck stories, weird fetish stories where Spider-Man's like fucking 3 girls at the same time going, oh, who do I pick? Do I tell her my identity? And it's all shit that we should have been over in the fucking 90s when it stopped happening when he got married.
They pretty much turned Peter Parker into Archie, where he's like, oh, Betty Veronica?
Yeah. And he turned him into Archie. And the whole point of Peter is that he grows and he learns. He goes from high school, he goes into college, we grow with him. And you can do a sliding time scale where you're like, let's slow down his aging a little bit, but you can't go backwards. And that's the one thing they did, is they went backwards and then they dug their heels in when everyone said, let's not go backwards. And that's the real issue that is plaguing Spider-Man right now, is that they are backwards, they're back in the past, and they don't ever want to bring Spider-Man up to the future where we are right now, or the present. And Hickman did that with Ultimate Spider-Man, where he's like, hey, Spider-Man he's going to be 40 years old. He's going to be like married to Mary Jane. They're going to have a happy marriage. They're going to have 2 kids. And everyone loved it because we got to see Spider-Man as an adult. We got to see Peter with a happy life, and a happy life where he still chooses to be Spider-Man, where he still chooses the responsibility of being a hero. You know what I mean? And that's what's so cool.
And the thing is, right, like, speaking of, like, you know, the higher ups and stuff, they didn't even learn, especially like back when, like, because Quesada's a big proponent of One More Day. That was his idea. That was one of his. He was a doing One More Day to redo the marriage.
He fucking ran J. Michael Straczynski off the book because he wanted because J. Michael Straczynski was even like, this just sucks so much, I don't want to do this.
And it was crazy because, like, even when they did Renew Your Vows after Battle World, and then spun it off into its like own like miniseries, everyone loved it, and it still didn't care,
dude. And it's even more insane. Written by Dan Slott, who is another proponent of let's undo the marriage, let's go back to when Spider-Man was young. And even a guy who hates the marriage and hates all that can shit out a good marriage book, and it sells like gangbusters. And it's also great because guess what? A lot of the guys writing Spider-Man are adults who are married. So it's a lot easier to write from the point of view of an adult who's married, who has problems that are adult problems, instead of trying to write this 30-year-old to be a 17-year-old in a 35-year-old's eyes. Because that doesn't make any fucking sense. Because you don't know what a 17-year-old's problems are now. And guess what? When you make Spider-Man 45 and you give him 45-year-old problems in a present day, people resonate with that because they're like, oh, cool, I can still see how those issues relate to mine. They just might be on a bigger scale or different issues. You know, I've had problems with my family at Christmas. I can relate to that new issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. But you know what I can't relate to? My fucking, like, me having to talk to my ex-girlfriend who's now married to like a weird alien dude and has 2 alien kids who then disappear one day, and then she goes, no, actually I like Paul, but I don't like you, but I can't relate to that. I've never been in a cuck situation, you know. I have healthy relationships. Fucking A, what are we doing?
Oh man.
And I think that's just like I said, we're bitching about this. We're getting it out now because this is the last time we're ever talking about this, because it's over. That's a good thing. Bad news is it's probably not going to get better, but at least it's not going to get worse. Please fix your shit.
To end this point before Joe can move on, Seamus, now that you got out of your system. Rebecca says, I feel like there's a divide between Spider-Man for a long time, fans in Spider-Man as the general public brand.
I could see that. I just think that the general public brand of Spider-Man doesn't care about the comics. They don't give a shit about the comics. They're not the ones who are reading Amazing Spider-Man. You know what I mean? They're the ones who are watching that new Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show where he's a teenager again. And guess what they get? Every couple of years, they get a new Spider-Man's young, he's hot, he's in high school, he's single. They get a new one of those, so they can keep eating those. But I'm saying the comics are for people who have been reading for like fucking ages. They're bums who have been reading comics forever. So like, at least give us this one fucking thing. At least let us grow with the character, so that way we can at least feel a little bit more like adults instead of babying us and being like, well, you like reading about a 17-year-old going through relationship issues. No, the fuck I don't. I want to read about fucking Spider-Man who's married. I want to have hope. Fucking A, you know? And I think that's just the issue with it, you know?
All right, Seamus,
I don't
we
want to
got
talk
it.
about the best comics of the year, Mikey. Shut the fuck up, okay?
No, we
Okay,
are.
there's an
We have
issue
a
with
fucking show to do.
Spider-Man.
Goddammit.
There's an issue with Spider-Man that is just so it's such a like a just a disconnect between everyone about what Spider-Man should be, and Jonathan Hickman just did what Spider-Man should be, and everyone loved it. So just do more of that, please, because that book is great.
That's the lesson. That's the real lesson to 2024 in 2025.
It is because it's difficult, man.
Oh man, but all right, all right. So yeah, that's done. And so we're gonna get into the best books, Seamus. So I think that is you. So you want to pull up your? Is it the same slider? No.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. So,
go back to me because
so
I got more shit to say.
Best books of 2024. It's so funny. All right, best books 2024.
Guess what I'm going to talk about right now? Guess what's on my best books of 2024, man?
It's there wasn't a Doom Patrol book that came out this year, was it?
Yeah. Guess what's on my list, man? Guess what's first on the list?
All right, bro. What is it?
You know what it is. I just mentioned it 8 times. I fucking put Ultimate Spider-Man and the Ultimate books on this fucking thing, dude. Because look, it's right there. Look how hot 40-year-old Peter Parker looks, okay? They could do it. I believe in them.
Rebecca, remember, this is the perfect transition to talk about the good Spider-Man.
Yeah, Rebecca, I was ahead of you. I already knew what was going to happen. That's why I put this right here. Real quick, I went through Ultimates. I love Ultimates. I think Ultimates has the best writing of the year. I think it's really interesting how Denise Camp is able to take these societal issues that have been present in our society for hundreds of years and distill them into superheroes fighting with each other. Specifically, just to shout out that Hulk issue where Hulk is talking about the nature of religion and how the Ultimates attempts to kind of revolutionize the world to kind of think against their oppressors only pushes these people closer to the Hulk and his religion, because when people are anxious or scared, they tend to run to things that give them comfort, even though those things might be detrimental to their health. I think that's an insane kind of thought to take, especially with like Monk Hulk, you know what I mean? How Bruce Banner's a shithead who weaponizes religion to kind of like keep people under his thumb. Ultimate X-Men has been on the opposite trend of Ultimate Black Panther, with the way that a lot of the horror elements are really getting dug in, and a lot of the character like dynamics are really getting cemented in really interesting ways. I really like May Storm, and I really like the Children of the Atom Cult, how they're like trying to create more mutants in the same way that the Brotherhood was, but in much more spiritual and body horror type ways. With like we got that reveal that Daken is like the first mutant.
Yeah,
and he's like the guy that they're using to try to mutate other mutants and everything. And I thought that was just a really cool reveal. I'm interested to see if they're gonna have any relationship with that with Ultimate Wolverine when that comes out, because like
that's true. I didn't do a thing about that.
Or yeah, and I mean, from the covers of Ultimate Wolverine, they're already introducing Ultimate Gambit and Kitty Pryde, who look like very similar. So I'm interested to see how they interact with these Ultimate X-Men and Storm and Black Panther, if that ever comes around. But and of course, I'm here to talk more about Spider-Man, baby. Ultimate Spider-Man has been incredible. They did an entire issue where Uncle Ben and J. Jonah Jameson were doing investigative journalism.
We talked about that in the last podcast. We talked about the last podcast. That was like the best issue. Well, the best issue before, I think, on number 12, because number 12 was crazy. But
number 12, that Christmas party, dude. I love Mary Jane. They did an entire issue that's a Christmas party where Peter Parker doesn't say one fucking word, and it's all Mary Jane and her interactions with her family. And they fucking remembered that she has a sister named Gail. Dude! Guess what? They're doing all the right shit in that book, because I got an entire Mary Jane issue where I get Mary Jane's point of view, and she's my fucking favorite character in that book now because I love her.
Dude,
But
because the thing with Mary Jane, I only really knew about Aunt Anna and that's it. I didn't know she had a sister. I didn't really give a shit about her mother because I don't think they really mentioned her mother that much in like modern comics. So I was like, bro, it was really good. Yeah, just seeing like it was a typical
Jonah
like,
Jameson's trying to fuck Aunt Anna, and I'm like, yo, what are we doing? Jonah Jameson? Are we serious?
It was listen, man, it was crazy.
That reveal at the end, dude. The way that they're fucking doing Venom.
Bro,
and
that is
I texted you.
I texted you. I was like, bro, this is one of the best ways to do Venom that I've ever seen.
They're like, hey, Venom is gonna actually be Ben Reilly. And you're like, what the fuck does that mean? You know what I mean? That's instantly something that grabs me because it's like, hey, let's use continuity in a really new and interesting way. And it's exactly what Bendis did with original Ultimate Spider-Man. And that's why I think this book is working so well, because they got Jonathan Hickman, like, insane to think that he's a great writer, but he is. So I think that Ultimate Spider-Man has just been so good. These 3 Ultimate books are great. And from the looks of Ultimate Wolverine is going to be up here, I think, at the end of next year. So I'm excited to see that. But yeah, I love these books.
We'll definitely talk more about, well, at least Ultimate X-Men and Spider-Man on my list. I didn't put Ultimates on here just because on my list, even though I did enjoy that book a lot too, I thought I knew you had more to say on it than I did, so I took it out.
All right. Next up, I wonder what's next, Mikey.
I don't want to guess anymore.
No, you don't have to guess because it's kind of obvious.
Oh,
it's kind of very obvious what's
next. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Guess what? Insane to think that when DC goes, what if we did Ultimate Universe? It fucking works.
It works.
Because guess what? They got Scott Snyder on Batman, and they were like, hey, Scott, do something new instead of just doing like your normal Batman. And he did something new, and it fucking rocks, dude. Look at that. He's got an axe that's his bat symbol, and he's got spikes, and it doesn't feel like it's like a shitty 90s design. It actually looks cool because Nick Dragotta is like an absolute. He's
built like a fucking tank for no reason.
Right? And that's a design that feels like it would be like a 90s design that you roll your eyes at, but it works because the art is so good in that, because Nick Dragotta knows how to fucking write a Batman, and it makes sense for the character once you read the book.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Dallas said that she just saw the Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman one on TikTok, and it was insane. Listen, Dallas,
we're gonna get the Absolute Wonder Woman.
Yeah, like I don't.
That's my favorite book this year.
I think you read comics, but like if you want to read a good ass comic with a badass female lead, freaking Absolute Wonder Woman is crazy.
Absolutely. All right, we'll get there. We'll get there real quick though. Absolute Batman. I love that he's growing up alongside like his villains. They're his friend group. I really loved how that 3rd issue, I was really interested by the idea that Bruce seeing the mask of Zorro wasn't with his family when they died. It was after his dad had died, and it was his friends who dragged him to go see a movie because they knew he was sad. And that's why
I love that.
That's why he gets that heroic sense of justice in that moment, because it's less of, that was when I was seeing with my family, I need vengeance, and it's more of like, I need to protect these people who are most likely to get fucked over in life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's a flip that works so well, and it's such a cool idea where you're like, it's such a small thing that wouldn't matter to like the normal person, but the more you think about it, the more you go, holy shit, that's a really interesting character change.
Yeah, and you know? like what you said, it's like, like instead of like, watching this movie that, instilled in me, like, becoming like, this sense of justice, building this sense of justice, and becoming like a crusader or like a hero of my city after watching it with my parents, because that was a sentimental moment for me as a child right after they died. But instead, I watched this movie that gives me this sense of purpose and justice because I was watching with my friends that were helping me trying to cope with my father's death and help me grieve. I thought that was amazing. I was like, this is
and it's such a small change that if you said to anyone, you'd be like, their first reaction would be like, who cares? And then you read it and you're like, this actually is like changes a lot. And the fact that it was Selena who was pushing Bruce to be like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, what are you gonna? Your father's dead. You still have to live the rest of your life. So what are you going to do about it? And then that's when he saw the Mask of Zorro. It was almost like it was the most unsaid said, like, I shall become a bat father. You know what I mean? It was that kind of moment, but it was less of like, Yes, I've seen a vision from my father, and more of just I've just been instilled with this sense of justice and hope that I haven't had
Mhm.
before. And I think that is why that book started off like okay with me, and at this point I'm like, holy shit, Scott Snyder can still write a fucking sick Batman story, dude.
Mhm.
But yeah, moving on. Absolute Wonder Woman. We like glazed Kelly Thompson
Kelly
for her
Thompson.
Birds of Prey run
Kelly
because she's
Thompson,
so
bro.
good. And this was one of those runs that as soon as they were like Kelly Thompson Wonder Woman, I was like, this is about to be my favorite book of the three. And guess what? It fucking is, dude.
Okay, so here's the thing, right?
Fucking-
Here's the thing. Dallas was saying, he's like, I don't read a lot anymore, but Absolute Wonder Woman, and I don't know if it's the different, but whichever one Wonder Woman grew up in with Cersei, it is Absolute Wonder Woman. You're correct. It is the like we've said it when we did our last podcast, and obviously if you want to watch the clip that we did of it as well, check it out. It's the best one out of the three. It is the best
it's
one
the
out
best
of the three.
one. Kelly Thompson
killing it.
She understands Wonder Woman and still keeps she's able to communicate Wonder Woman's profound sense of love for existence while also marrying it to this very cool witch vibe that kind of creates a very interesting dichotomy between her very dark and very satanic and witchy kind of vibe with a sense of who Wonder Woman was in the main universe, of someone who loves and protects. And I think that is why it's interesting to me, because it's less of a large character change and more of like, well, what if because the Batman and Superman are like, well, what if these characters grew up differently and ended up differently but slightly similar? And Wonder Woman is like, what if Wonder Woman was the exact same? What if Wonder Woman still wanted to protect, she wanted to love, but she was but instead of growing up on Amazon Island in Themyscira, she grew up in hell with Cersei, you know what I mean, on Hell Island. And I think that the fact that she grew up in hell but still remained the same is something that to me is like, that is a thing that is so important to not change. You know what I mean? Where Batman's change was so important to do to change him for this new universe, it was equally as important to not touch a fucking thing about who Wonder Woman is. And I know we talked about the first two issues the last time, so I'll only mention three. But that whole thing with Steve Trevor washing up in hell and going like, "Oh, I thought I was kind of like a good guy."
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman going like, well, I think we're all good people here because we didn't really deserve to be here either. And that whole backstory of her her nurturing him back to health and then sacrificing her own arm to save him, even though she doesn't know him. And like that whole reveal that she's like, oh yeah, I actually don't have this arm. This arm's made of magic, and like I had to give it up just now to the tetrahedron or whatever. And you're like, and they introduced Barbara Ann Minerva, and she's instantly like in love with Wonder Woman, and I'm like, me too, honestly.
Yeah. Dallas says over here too. Yeah, we love witchy women. Yeah, witchy women
would love it. It's literally like,
it's so
what
good.
if Wonder Woman was a witch, but she's also like the coolest motherfucker alive.
And you make a good point too, where it's like, because like the core of the character has not changed at all, and especially because she's growing up surrounded by darkness, and as well as when she's out and is fighting, and is facing, these demons and these monsters that are trying to reach humanity. But it's her like, again, that unchanged passion and love for humanity, for just people, and just like her altruism is what is the light of the book. Nothing else besides that, which I love that a lot. So yeah, it's really good, man. It's really, really good.
Yeah, and it's interesting how Batman and Superman they have changed, but shades of their characters shine through, whereas Wonder Woman is just, this is Wonder Woman, and because no one wants to change Wonder Woman. She's the fucking best, dude. But moving on to Absolute Superman, this is as good as the other two in my eyes. Especially with this newest issue.
I didn't read the newest issue yet, so like, just don't spoil it for me, please. But
come on, like, you're gonna be on a best of the year podcast and not catch up.
I mean, that's true. I didn't have time because I was catching up on other stuff. But I didn't put this on my list just because I knew you had more to say on it. But I agree with you. I think Absolute Superman was the first two issues that I've read so far have been really, really good. Especially again, we talked about how good that classism is on Krypton and that commentary on that.
I like how I think that the decision to change Clark growing up on Krypton for years and basically kind of giving him the Supergirl origin where he is like a teenager when he Krypton falls, and having a lot of his sense of personality being developed by Jor-El and his mom more than Martha and Pa Kent is a very interesting change, and it's very funny to still see how he has changed somewhat, but he still is the same person that he was, because like in issue 3, you'd like issue 3 because a lot of the stuff he's doing is they have him doing like investigative journalism stuff on Krypton, where he's like trying to get the truth out through like Krypton, like hacking into Krypton computers and like letting everyone know the truth of what the upper class of Krypton is doing instead of like helping the planet. And I'm like, that's so cool. And then his parents are instantly proud of him because they're doing their own thing, and Clark kind of sneaks along with them to like do his own like investigative journalism. And then when they get back, they're like, wait, the whole world knows what we were trying to like tell, like who did that? And then they turn and Clark's just standing there and he's like, so what do we do now? And they're like, oh my God, I'm so proud of my son. And it's like, that's so cool, dude.
And that's really cool because like, it's kind of like, again, like even though he hasn't built that Clark, he doesn't have that Clark Kent identity and that, persona in this universe, but it's still kind of instilled in him a little bit. Like,
it really illustrates that Clark is who he is. Like Clark is a part of him. He's a persona, and only that he plays up certain aspects of his personality, but those are still aspects of his personality. You know what I mean? He still is inquisitive. He still searches for the truth. He still wants to help people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's just all stuff Clark turns up. And Superman also, instills in other people. And I think that's why it's really interesting that they do a flip that's very interesting, where Superman is kind of quiet and meek like Clark Kent, and they make a point of that in the first 2 issues, where like when Superman is being Superman, he's kind of still uncomfortable about being a hero. He's still uncomfortable about being seen by so many people and being in front of so many people. And they illustrate that by Clark, like whenever he's with his parents and with people he's comfortable with, he's able to be outward. He's able to be very like eloquent with his explanations, but then when he gets in front of people, he kind of like clams up and is like, and I think that's such a cool flip to have, is to be like Superman. Whenever Superman's saving people, he's like, are you okay, man? And they're like, what? What did you just say to me? And he's like, I said, are you okay? And then he'll like immediately turn and like take a tank blast and be like, I think you need to get out of here, man. And she's like, okay. And everyone comes away from it going like, that kid was weird, but he was like trying to save me, and he was like the nicest boy I've ever met. You know what I mean? And I think that is like a very interesting flip. And you read the newest issue because it's literally only Krypton stuff.
I got you. And again, I love all the stuff they're doing. There's an end stinger to the 3rd issue that I was like, oh, we are still doing something. You know what I mean? Like, the character shows up that you're like, oh, but does Clark know her, or does he just like, is it going to be a thing where this is him meeting her for the first time? But yeah, like I said, all 3 of these books have been fire as hell so far. So I've been really enjoying them. I'm really excited to see where they go this next year. And that's why I'm saying earlier, best publisher this year was Marvel, but DC next year is going to definitely be giving Marvel a run for their money, because these 3 books are as good as the Ultimates. Anyway, the next book that was my best of the year was a manga called Dan to Dan. Now, I had read. I added this to my list on Netflix, by the way. I'm going to watch it.
So here's the thing. I had read the first 30-ish issues, I think, when it was first released a couple of years ago. And then I just dropped off because, with all the manga I'm reading and with all the comics I'm reading, too much stuff, and I was like, you know what? I read the first 30 issues, and I instantly was like, this is going to get an anime adaptation. When it gets the anime adaptation, I'll read the rest of the manga. And then, lo and behold, this year got an anime adaptation. I watched the first 3 episodes in theaters in September, and then I went home, and I was like, time to binge the rest of this. And it is fucking great. It is great because it breaks a lot of the normal tropes that you'd find in manga that you find frustrating as hell. And it just circumvents it, and it like a lot of manga that have a romance aspect to it tend to really not like developing that relationship until the very end of the series. So
yeah,
a lot of manga, like to do that thing where the big confession happens at chapter 300 when the entire series is over, and that's the last chapter. Is they finally go, "I love you," whereas in this, they kind of know that they're into each other by like the 5th issue, and then by like issue 50 they're kind of already like, hey, we do want to date each other, we're really attracted to each other, but there's a lot of crazy shit going on right now. Let's wait until the crazy shit's over to really get like, talk about that and get into a relationship. And it's like, but even though they kind of make that agreement, they kind of break that agreement purely through the shit that they go through in the other arcs, with all these aliens invading and with all these spirits coming to life and like trying to attack them. They end up, developing their relationship more purely through circumstance, which I think is just such a better way of doing that character development instead of just like checking boxes of like, well, now they have to go to the beach episode where they might see each other naked and be flustered. Instead, it's like, well, now Mechagodzilla is come to Earth, and the only way you can defeat him is by taking the guy's golden ball, which she keeps in her chest pocket, and using that to give him a power up to defeat Mechagodzilla, who actually is a hot anime girl in Mechagodzilla who's come to save her world. You know what I mean? And you're like, that's cool, but it's very much a the way I can relate it to you, Mikey, is it's like a classic Superman story where it's a story about Superman has to like go to dinner with his family, but he's going to dinner with his family on like Mars, and there's like a bunch of aliens, and he's not really sure how to interact with anyone, but he's also like, oh, I have to make sure my family has a good time, but like there's all this stuff going on that's like aliens, but at the core of the story, it is just like having dinner with your parents is tough. And it's the same thing in this, where it's like, yeah, sometimes getting into a relationship and having a discussion with each other is tough, especially when they take away your mouths and then you have to do an entire fight without talking to the other one and only using body language, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
Readings. And it's cool stuff like that is both a cool fight and a cool bit of character development. And I think that's why it rivaled One Piece for my favorite manga of this year with the chapters that were released this year. So I really love this shit. This was really good. Put that up in your little watch list, Mikey, because I think you'd really enjoy this.
It is. A customer at my job we were talking about it, and he was like, yeah, no, you gotta watch this shit. So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. Yeah. But like what Dallas said over here, like I just keep hearing the theme song everywhere, so I'm like, yeah, what is this thing?
Yeah. Gavin only watches certain anime that are like really good because he doesn't really get into it, and this was one that he was watching weekly with me, which he never does. He never. The last one he watched weekly was like Mob Psycho or like JoJo Part 5, I think. But
okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, so it's really, really good, and I would check it out.
Okay, dope.
But yeah, continuing with my, I think, was this 4th? I think. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to put this on here on my list,
sir.
dude. I love this book.
Don't worry, I got you, man. Us Cassandra Cain fans, we're winning, dude. We're fucking winning.
And it's funny because like Rebecca just came in, but she's talking about how like she's digging the anime for Dan and wants to read the manga. But she said her only major criticism is the essay for the set and the essay for the setup.
Okay, here's my view of a lot of the, real quick before we get into Batgirl. My view of a lot of the sexual aspects of Dan are less that they're using sexual assault to be like, this is really serious, and more like they're using sexual assault to kind of as a thematic thing to kind of like talk about the violation of relationships and the violation of society into I think a lot of especially women's and men's relationships and the way that they are just two people trying to take their relationship at their own pace, and how they are constantly accosted by these people who you know are trying to constantly tear them apart or constantly attack them and strip them bare, not only in like a sexual sense but in like an emotional sense, to try to push them to what they think their relationship should be, when these are two people who trust each other fully and trust each other to take their own time with their relationship and how it develops. That's my personal view of it. I purely also through reading interviews with the author, who is very much a person who is not really into a lot of the regular anime fan service that they like to throw in, where they you know what I mean, where they like to really gratuitize a lot of the nudity in anime. And he seemed, at least from the interviews I read, like he had a very different mindset toward it, where it was more about a thematic sense of nudity rather than a salacious sense of nudity. So that's why I think I'm okay with it. I can totally understand if you're just like, you know, like, oh, this is kind of a little like, ugh, it makes me feel weird, because I think it kind of is supposed to, but again, that's just not for everyone, and I can totally understand if you're like, yeah, that's not for me. Because I will say though, after this, I think this episode 12 was like the last instance where it happens. I think beyond episode 12, he kind of moves beyond that, because they develop a closer relationship, so he doesn't really need to be doing that thematic thing anymore. But anyway, Cassandra Cain fans are winning, man. This fucking book's so good.
I think I didn't add this to my presentations at all, just because I think like the book just started, so like I want to wait a little bit more. But I really did enjoy the first 2 issues of this book. It's really good.
I know this has only been 2 issues, but like these 2 issues were fucking great, dude.
Yeah. The artwork is fantastic. I love the artist who does the book so good.
It's just so because I read those previews and I was like knocked on my ass that we're finally getting a good fucking Cassandra Cain book after years, and her fucking talking to Lady Shiva and that. Dude, this I was not they just announced Batgirl, like, you know, oh, Batgirl's coming back, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll try to check it out, you know, we'll see. But then they were like, oh, it's Cassandra Cain, and look, Lady Shiva's right here, and she's fucking doing shit. And I'm like, yo, they're finally getting into like Cassandra Cain, Lady Shiva relationship stuff. And then that dialogue by Tate Bromble was like, this was like, I was like, oh, I don't know why I'm so into this, but if this dialogue feels like electric. I was like, okay. And then the art by Takeshi Miyazawa is just like, looks insane.
Takeshi Miyazawa,
you know what I mean?
So good, man.
But yeah, this is definitely a book that could show up on my best of next year's list if it keeps this quality.
It probably will for me too, because like I love the fact that they're just pretty much dissecting the whole relationship between the dysfunctional relationship between Lady Shiva and Cassandra Cain, and the fact that, like, you know, it's kind of interesting to see, you know, Lady Shiva, because she's like the deadliest woman alive in the DC universe, try her best to be a mother, but like it's very, very, a very minute try. But it's nice to see that, like, yeah, even
it's
though
it's Lady Shiva's version of being a good mother, which is like hilarious.
Yeah,
it's a very good bit.
Even though she considers her daughter to be kind of a weapon, she's trying her best to be a good mother. And like, even it showed in that second issue where she talks to the woman at the restaurant about, like, you know, what it means to be a mother and all this. That was really good. And at the same time, it's just like, you know, Cassie not really trusting her, but again, just like, but it still cares for her nonetheless, because it's still her mother. So like, I really do like this book a lot. I'm hoping that it gets better so it can be on my best list for next year for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I had to put this on there because I gotta shout out Cassandra Cain whenever she gets a book, because she gets shafted so often. It's fucking, they're always like, oh, but what if we did another Gordon book? And it's like, I don't fucking give a fuck, okay? I don't give a shit, okay? But yeah, we're moving on. I'm so happy this book exists. I'm excited to have a 20-minute spiel about it next year when there's like 12 more issues out. But anyway, moving on. This is the book that I mentioned earlier that I wanted to talk about way more. Now that I have a larger space that's not in the award section, but yes, sir, dude. This book, man. The team is elite. The team works so well. The fact that they have Glob there just randomly as their chef, who's just always like, "Hi guys, I live here too," and they're always like, "Oh, what's up, Glob? I didn't know you were here." Is a great bit. I think this is the I like Uncanny X-Men. I think it's a very well written book, and maybe it's just my own personal mindset at this point, but I think this book really speaks to how I was feeling after the Krakoa era, in that I just felt so burnt out on X-Men and just like so tired that we were going to keep doing this entire bit where the X-Men get a utopia and then they get nuked and then they have to restart. And I think that this book, taking that angle and making that like the entire point of the book, really brought me in and not only like made me really enjoy this book, but also allowed me to enjoy Uncanny X-Men, because I had a book that was speaking to how I felt about the X-Men as a franchise at this point. And then I also had a book that kind of made me go like, okay, but now I also get my classic X-Men stories that make it feel like there's still hope in the world. But this book really, to me, is so interesting in the way that it digs into Scott's entire philosophy, Magneto's philosophy, Psylocke magic, Juggernaut, Beast, even Quentin Quire. You know what I mean?
God, Quentin Quire's hilarious in that book. Oh my
Quentin Quire in this, like, dude, when he came back and Magneto goes, "Please tell me he's going to die on a mission soon, please."
Yeah, he's a little shit that everybody can't stand. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah. And that newer issue where they show Magneto going to Scott, and Scott's just alone drinking at his house in Alaska, his family home in Alaska. And Scott and Magneto shows up and he goes, I was told Cyclops always had a plan to victory. So tell me, Scott, what step of the plan is this? And Scott goes, "It's quitting. This is the quitting step of the plan. I'm going to sit here, drink my beer, and I'm going to brood for the rest of my life." And then Magneto goes, "Don't you think that's kind of childish, Scott?" And Scott goes, "Wolverine does it all the time, and everyone fucking loves him." And I was like, yeah. and then Magneto gives this really great speech that really again cuts to the core of how it feels to constantly just fucking eat shit. Where Magneto's like, "Listen, dude, this is gonna keep happening. This is gonna keep going on. Even if you sit here and you don't do anything, you're gonna eventually have to do something, because no matter what you do, this shit is gonna come to your doorstep. Even if you want to quit, even if you want to give up and then die alone quietly, you're not gonna be able to do that because they are gonna come for you. So either you can sit around and do this and then eventually have to fight, or you can choose to make a change now and fight with me to try to do something different than what we've been doing in the past." And then that leads to this formation of this new X-Men team that are kind of in rejection of kind of both Magneto's old ideas and Professor X's old ideas. And that came to a head in the newest issues where they had that crossover with Uncanny X-Men, where Rogue, who's the leader of the Uncanny X-Men, and Scott, who's the leader of this X-Men, butted heads because they had a whole assault on this prison that was made out of the old Xavier Institute, where they were also keeping Xavier imprisoned. And Rogue was like, "Let's save Xavier." And Scott was like, "Fuck that guy. At this point, fuck that guy." And Rogue was like, "How could you say that?" And then Scott was like, "'Cause he preaches all this shit about how we need to strive for these ideals and we need to strive for true freedom, but like we've never been truly free under him because we've never truly had the choice to choose whether or not to strive for his ideals. He's taken us in as kids and instilled this into us, but then never given us the choice whether or not we actually want to sign up and fight the rest of our lives for this. And I want to fight for the idea that mutants can do whatever they want. If they don't want to fight, that's fine with them. If they don't want to do anything, that's fine with them. But if they feel instilled to fight, they are also free to join us and fight, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, because that's the ideal world for mutants, where mutant kind doesn't is like non-existent. They don't really matter because they are the same as regular people, where they can be good, they can be bad, they can have the choice to be free, they can have the choice to give up. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that is such a really cool change to the X-Men philosophy that Scott and Magneto have come up with together to be like, you know what? We want true freedom. And true freedom is not being forced to strive for Charles' ideals. And I'm like, yo!
Yeah.
It was just such a cool moment. And I think that's really why good. Jed MacKay proves once again that he's such a good fucking writer, because this book just ended up being one of my favorite books of this year, purely because he really speaks to the way that I think a lot of other people in the X-Men X-Men fans feel, because it is tiring to just get an extinction level event every 8 years. You know what I mean? Then you got to start back from zero, and they're finally. And I hope this leads to a new era that has some relevant change, because I think it'd be interesting to kind of be like, okay, we're now done with a lot of this overt mutant genocide and stuff, but now we still have to deal with the entrenched and ensconced forms of racism towards mutants that are now like baked into society. And I think it'd be really cool for them to go from fighting like a lot of like these genocidal villains to then fighting institutional racism or institutional problems that we have in our society. Because I feel like that would at least be a cool era for the X-Men to go in, where they're like, now we are also just another team, but we're another team that also has to face institutional racism on top of the fact that we're also fighting like fucking Doctor Doom, rather than overtly being like, oh, mutants are smelly, because I think it's also important to show a side of mutants that are like, yeah, some people think mutants are smelly, but some people have grown up with preconceived ideas of mutants that they are baked into their own conscious that they don't even know is like racist against mutants. So I think that would be a cool track for this book to take, but as of right now, I'm loving it as it is. So
yeah, true.
That's why it's like at least one of my number one and number two for this year.
Yeah, again, I took it off my list because I knew you were going to talk about it. But it's not my, I feel like the other book you mentioned is X-Men book is my favorite out of the two, but I still think this book is great. I do love I think it's one of the most OP fucking X-Men teams. Just the fact you have Juggernaut on the team is crazy.
The fact that they made their ship has a Juggernaut railgun that shoots Juggernaut up the fucking front
is crazy.
I love that. I love that Magic issue where Magic has to team up with I think Quentin, and the whole time Quentin's like, damn, you're like really smart, like you're like really good, and then Ileana goes like, don't tell anyone that I'm really smart and really capable, because then I'm gonna have to do more around the team, and I don't want to do more. I kind of like that I don't have to do a lot.
That's so funny.
So Ileana's incredible, like a tactician and an incredible fighter, but she just doesn't want to do all that much, so she quietly just goes, oh, I don't know, and then walks away.
I'm like,
I
like that issue with I believe it was with Psylocke. It was a Psylocke and Quinn Inquirer issue where they had to go in that person's mind. I love that issue a lot, and their dynamic, how like he's like the annoying little brother that is like bickering and that she can't stand, and she's like just dealing with this bullshit while they're going in this person's mind. I thought it was so good.
Yeah,
that actually,
and they make Quentin like an actual sympathetic character through that by going through a lot of his like because they're like, hey, what does Quentin actually think? Because everyone shits on him and hates him, and he's kind of a dick. But like, is he actually a deeper character? And the answer is kinda, but he's still kind of a dick. But like, there is also more to him. And I'm like, that's a great character. That's a great character to add.
It's cool because and like the whole villain that they're teasing for this, like these mutants that are like breaking their X genes like past like in adulthood rather than in puberty, and how it's like the secret council is like tied to it. I think that's really cool. But yeah, no, this is good. This X-Men of his Ryan Jed McKay's X-Men is pretty dope. And again, like, you know, Ryan Stegman's art, again, I love how he draws the X-Men. Again, it's kind of because they wanted to instill that familiarity with, like, you know, the 90s with this main book. So I think it works really well. And also shout out to the Psylocke book, because I didn't add that to my list, but because this series, it was what put me onto the Psylocke book, and that Psylocke book is also really good. It's actually like it's a sleeper.
And they're doing that solo magic book that takes place in between like the issues of these books, which I think is interesting and cool. Because they're like, hey, we don't want to take magic away, but also like she should get her own solo series because she's never had one. I'm like,
because in the Psylocke series, it takes place like sometime where, like, it's like when like every time you don't see when there was a time when you didn't see Psylocke in an issue because Cyclops is like, you're going through a lot and you're gonna bring the team down, so you're gonna just like you're gonna go on vacation because I said so. Bye, have fun, and then she just goes on like assassination missions and shit. It's like, this is cool as fuck. But yeah, X-Men, bro, X-Men. I do like the book a lot. It's good, but yeah, man. Is that it? Is that your last one, or you got one more?
Yep. That's my top 5 for the year. Those are my favorites. So,
all right, it's gonna be hilarious because it's gonna be hilarious to see how much shit I have on my list, because you had a nice little top 5 of these.
There's gonna be a whole period where I'm just gonna get up and walk out, and I'm just gonna let you go through. I'm gonna be like, all right, are we done?
Yeah. But yeah, thanks, Seamus, for that. That was what's up. So that's Seamus' top 5 of the year. And then we'll just go into mine real quick. Let's see if I can pull my slides up. But yeah, people. So just like last year, I have like a few. I have some books that I read that I consider honorable mentions just because they were good, but I didn't think there was some either they just started, or like there's some things I'm iffy about on them, but I still think they're pretty good. But yeah, so we're gonna do some quick little honorable mentions right quick with my shit. There we go. Share that shit. There we go. So yeah, real quick. So honorable mentions. So I think I have a couple, and I have 8 honorable mentions, but we're gonna breeze through them real quick. So number 8 on the list, which is a comic that I think Seamus, I think even you forgot about. I think a lot of people. I don't really know if this thing really has like got a lot of traction. I know it was some hype when it was coming out, but I've only read the first issue of it, and I thought it was really good. Was Kid Cudi Presents Moon Man written by Scott Muscudi and Kyle Higgins, with art by Marco Liccardi from Image Comics and Black Market Narrative. Yeah, this book was I only read the first issue of it, and I thought it was pretty solid. I really like the concept of it. It's Kid Cudi kind of orchestrating it, but obviously Kyle Higgins doing the heavy lifting with his writing. Obviously, we're fans of Radiant Black up in here, so we expect it to be good. I just read the first issue and dropped off of it because there were a lot of other books that came out that I was reading, so I just was gonna put it aside, put it back later. But I thought the concept was really cool. And Marco Liccardi's artwork, Seamus. You gotta see this man's artwork.
Cool.
It's ridiculous. It's like if you like, and I don't have the colorist on here as well, but if you like, you know, that iconic like Kid Cudi like Man on the Moon like covers that he does, like the beautiful colorful artwork that's kind of like psychedelic. That's what they do with the artwork in this book, and it's amazing. And as well as like for every issue that dropped, Kid Cudi dropped a track as well. I only listened to the first track from the first issue, but that was also really good. That's like a nice little companion piece to the book. But yeah, man, I'm gonna read the rest of it at some point. But yeah, man, I just want to get more people on this book because I feel like not a lot of people were talking about it after the first issue came out. Because it's still going. The new issue is coming out this month, like issue 6. So yeah, Kid Cudi Presents Moon Man. Next one, number 7, is Daredevil, Woman Without Fear by Erica Schultz and art by Michael Dowling. This book was like a 4-issue miniseries. It's really good. Again, I can love the fact that Elektra is embracing the role of Daredevil in this. This one pretty much focuses on one of the characters that like the little girl that she took in gets kidnapped, and she pretty much has to go to Madripoor to negotiate with the Maggia to get her back. But then she ends up running into the new Punisher that they're doing right now. I don't really I forget his name. Yeah, but that new
fucking dude.
Yeah, but but she pretty much gets in. But she pretty much gets cross paths with the new Punisher, and they pretty much like have like a battle royale throughout the course of throughout Madripoor, and it's really cool. The reason why it's like a little lower on my honorable mentions list as well is because even though I finished it, the ending was a little like it's whatever. Like the ending was okay, just kind of just ended, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, I just really love seeing Electra as Daredevil and doing cool Daredevil stuff and whatnot. So that's why I really like this book a lot. Next one is number 6 is The Moon is Following Us, written by Danny Warren Johnson with art by Riley Rossmo. Again, only read the first issue of this, but I really dug the concept. The concept is pretty much this husband and wife are going into they use technology to pretty much travel and to go into a world where they can pretty much it's kind of like Inception, where they go to sleep with this machine and they can pretty much go to their ideal dream world. And they have a daughter that also does it with them, but her daughter ends up getting stuck in the dream world, and they have to pretty much get her out with the help of their daughter's imaginary friends. And it is really good. That first issue was really solid. The artwork from Riley Rossmo, again, it's funny because remember when Riley Rossmo did that Tim Drake Robin book that I hated? I thought the artwork was terrible. He did the artwork for this, and it's actually pretty good. Again, it's a lot of still a lot of long necks and long faces, but it's actually it's not horrifying. It's actually really fun, and they get really creative, especially seeing the dream worlds the first dream world that we see here. I think the concept is really strong. And again, I saw on Danny Warren Johnson's YouTube channel he got this inspiration from his actual daughter for the story. And it feels like this book has a lot of heart to it, which I really enjoyed. So I'm gonna read the rest of this, and this may probably be hopefully be one of my best books of 2025. So yeah, we'll see. Number 5, NYX, written by Jackson Blanting and Colin Kelly with art by Raul Angulo. Really, really cool book. Again, it's on my honorable mentions because it's the other X because this is in the middle. There are X books that we've mentioned before that are terrible. Then there's Uncanny X-Men and X-Men, which are the best, and this one's just solid middle. It's pretty much just a young adult book where we get to see some young adult mutants navigate the world in New York post Krakoa, and they're dealing with a lot of the hate post Krakoa. And we got Kamala Khan, X-23, Sophie Kaku, Paris Aline, aka Prodigy, and Nole, which I'm not really familiar with this character, but I only know from this. This book is fun. It's kind of a nice little slice of life book. Which a slice of life teen superhero book, kind of like Runaways in a way, but not as good as Runaways. It's a little weaker than that, but it's really cool. One thing I'll say about it though is that I don't think Kamala Khan needs to be here. It's she kind of honestly they could have taken her out of this book and it still would have been fine, but I honestly think it's just they don't really know what to do with her right now, making her a mutant. So let's just put her in a nice little young adult book and just see where it goes. But it's fine. I mean, I do like Kamala's interaction with the characters. They did a great issue with Prodigy. They did a Prodigy focused issue that was really fucking good and reminded people that how kind of low key powerful in a way Prodigy is in terms of how many skills he's carried up with his power and how he uses them interchangeably. There's a part where he took down Hellion by himself, and it was insane.
I said earlier, other than Sentinels and X-Force, the rest of those books have been really good. Mm-hmm. I heard good things about this book, so it's not surprising to hear that it's really good.
Yeah. Again, it's if you're into young adult slice of life comics, just read this book. It's fun. Again, it has problems for sure. But it's fun, and that last issue was a nice little Dazzler Mojo issue, crossover that they did. It was really fun. But yeah, so number 4 is Witchblade, written by Marguerite Bennett with art by Giuseppe Cafaro from Top Cow and Image Comics. Listen, man,
We talked
This
about
book
this
is hard.
like a month ago.
Yeah, this book is fucking hard. There's 7 issues out right now. It's pretty much the whole reboot with the Witchblade. Because they did a reboot with a new with a new character that gets the Witchblade like a couple years ago, which I thought was good, but it was a very different aesthetic to what we were familiar with Witchblade. But this is a rebooted Sarah Pazzini as a cop finding the Witchblade and figuring it out on her own, and and pretty much getting thrown into the supernatural world. I love it so much. It's again, like we talked about this before, but like you were reading the old Witchblade comics from the 90s, right?
Yeah. I was rereading that and The Darkness because I just played the Darkness games, and I was like, I totally forgot these were comic books. And then I started reading Witchblade, 90s Witchblade, and I never got around to this, but this is on my list to read soon because I just finished.
I'm surprised you didn't like play those games earlier because I don't shut up about the Darkness and Witchblade.
No, dude, I mean, I replayed them. I played them when I was 9 and 10, like when I was a 9-year-old. That's when I played
I played the Darkness 2 when I was 13, and that's what got me into the comics.
I played them when I was 9 because I got the demo on my fucking PlayStation. My mom yelled at me for having an M-rated game on my PlayStation, and I was like, "But the Darkness is hard as fuck, Mom." So yeah, I remember playing. That's when I remember my first interaction with that, and then I was like, oh, this is based on comic books? I love comic books. Why haven't I read this? And then I read Witchblade, and I was like, this is very different. And then when Jackie showed up, I was like, hey, there's my boy.
So here's the thing with this. The origin is pretty much the same, but like with some more modernized changes, and it's like they go more of a supernatural route to like how she got the Witchblade in the first place, and how that, and her, and obviously with the death, dealing with maybe there might be a supernatural element with the death of her father, which is that, but they do a really good job of being like the big question with like the character with Sarah getting the Witchblade is like, who's in control here? Is she in control, or is the Witchblade in control of what she's doing? And like, how she's learning to master all that with one of the characters that comes in who like ends up trying to train her to control the Witchblade properly. But it's really good. It's kind of like a man versus monster type of story in terms of like their internal battle that she's doing with the Witchblade. And good news, Seamus, because they've been teasing the past 2-3 issues of something coming, to go after Sarah, and it's kind of revealed it with the cover for issue 8 that we're gonna be seeing our boy Jackie come back as the Darkness, and he hasn't been in comics in like a long time, like since like the mid 2000s, the mid 2010s. So it's been years. It's been a decade since we've seen Jackie as the Darkness again, and fans have been like myself, yeah, and like fans like myself have been clamoring to see Jackie, or at least like a Darkness comic, come back. So hopefully within issue 8 that comes out this month, you see Jackie, and it will spin off into a Darkness book, and we'll see how that's gonna go out. But yeah, bro, it's top. Top. Witchblade Darkness. It was a good read to be a Witchblade fan this year, and hopefully Darkness
before that.
Yeah, but yeah, check it out, please. It's good. It's just like I just put it down 4 because there are other books I thought they're a little bit better than this. But yeah, number 3 on honorable mentions, which Seamus mentioned on his list earlier, was Ultimate Black Panther, by Brian Hill and Stefano Caselli. Listen, but I agree with you, and pretty much like, the start to the book was strong. And I really liked what, Brian Hill was setting up, Khonshu and Ra, when the whole Moon Knight thing, and he's seeing like, Okoye and Shuri, and like, seeing Killmonger, Storm show up, and like the idea of like, hey, like, what if, how vibranium being sentient, how there's another version of vibranium that acts as opposite that Khonshu and Ra use to like terraform shit and like gain more power. That's really cool. Yeah. But it's number 3 just because like it's still like, there's something about that. It's like it's not getting to where it should be right now, even though this new issue with issue number, I think it was 11, it kind of put it in a nice direction where it's like, oh yeah, like T'Challa realizes that, yeah, I think the best thing for Wakanda and to get rid of and to like to defeat Moon Knight is by playing at their own game and revealing Wakanda's power to the world, and having, and showcasing how like, the Black Panther can be an inspiration to then counteract the Moon Knight's influence. I think that's really cool. But again, it's just like we just got there in like 11 issues. They could have done that way earlier, you know.
That should have been the conceit of the book, is that Wakanda is actually starts open to the world, and that's the big change they do for an Ultimate book. Is that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That, because I think that would be very interesting to start the book as like, oh, if Wakanda had been open for its whole history, how would its history have been changed just being a black utopia for years in a time where, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just such an interesting change that they could have done, and how what Black Panther represents would have changed based on how that conceit would have changed. So I just wanted something to be changed at the start that makes it an Ultimate book. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I like it, and I like what Brian Hill is doing, but it's taking too much time to get there. Like, so that's why it's like honorable mentions. It's not a worst book for me. I'm not really disappointed by it. I'm just like, it's getting there, and I just hope that it doesn't get canceled and that it continues to, like, you know, to hit, you know, like the other Ultimate books are doing. So yeah. So number 2 on the list is again, which was my honorable mention last year too, but Saladin Ahmed's Daredevil, with art by Aaron Kruger. Same deal. It's just like it's been getting, you know, a little slow, and I think it's just like it's not really. It's getting a little. Sometimes it's getting a little bit slow, but also like it's just Saladin Ahmed's trying his best to, like, you know, live up to what Chip Zdarsky did with his run prior. So, but I like how he's using. I told you he's been using the elements of his run. Like, this whole villain is him. You know, now, you know, him as a priest with his no origin written due to, you know, God, and him fighting, you know, pretty much the 7 deadly sins that have been possessing his friends and the people that he cares about, to get to him, and to torture him. I think that's a really cool concept. They do a lot. They bring a lot of the stuff, like, you know, they bring back the white heavenly suit that he wore at the end of Zdarsky's run. That was really good. And I'm loving. I loved how, like, who Ahmed decides to have represent Matt's sins. Like, bro, when it was revealed that, like, you know, Wolverine was possessed, and, you know, they were gonna have a fight, and we all was like, oh yeah, Wolverine, Wrath. But now, like, Wolverine was revealed to actually be lust because just like Matt, Wolverine has, like, a lust and a desire for violence, and, like, I thought that was amazing. You know, that was really good. And also the fact that, like, it was revealed that one of the latest sin to be revealed, which was Wrath, is actually is a really cool twist with who Wrath actually is. And I thought it was really good, and that's what kind of, like, dragged me back into the book while I was slowing down a little bit. And also, yeah, when Kingpin was Greed, bro, when Kingpin was Greed, it was crazy. What happened?
Who's Wrath?
No.
Who is it?
Oh, Wrath. Oh, Wrath is one of the kids that was one of the kids in his orphanage.
One of those kids on the start.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that segment where that kid gets that kid who was revealed to who Daredevil, like, you know, from the Zdarsky run, Daredevil murdered his dad.
Oh fuck yeah, that kid. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
So Daredevil murdered his dad, and then he ends up getting kidnapped by Bullseye, and then he ends up getting kidnapped again by, like, this creature walking around, which was Wrath. But it was revealed that, like, no, Wrath actually possessed him, and now Daredevil has to fight fight Wrath, but who is embodied this kid who he's been sworn to protect while running this orphanage. I thought was great, you know. It was like Kingpin as Greed too. Greed was crazy because when obviously, because Matt being a priest can exercise people, which is awesome. But when Kingpin got exercised, this man got so shook from the experience by the experience. He was and how it, like, affected, how he kind of, like, you know, regretted all the sins in his past. He literally went to Matt and was like, please, like, sanctify me, save me, because, like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, yo, this is crazy. But yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying it, and it's picking up steam. So like that's why number one honorable mention. I'm on number two. Sorry, but yeah, definitely read it, Seamus. Get back into it. It's good. It's good shit. Then last honorable mention is Aliens versus Avengers by Hickman and Asad Ribic. Again, it's only honorable mentions because it's only 2 issues out. But dude, this book is just fucking crazy. That's it. Dude, it's just fucking insane.
Dude, the Venom symbiote on the face hugger, dude.
Bro, like,
what the fuck?
When we all thought that Miles was about to get murked by a face hugger, but then no, it's just like he's had Venom on him the entire time.
Yeah. That black part of his suit's actually Venom, and you're just like, holy shit, dude. What the fuck?
The fact that Hickman, again, because he's such a good writer, was able to take stuff from Prometheus that people didn't like, incorporate into this, and how incorporated the history of Wayland, and like in this universe that Wayland Corp and the Marvel universe are like, they've been by each other for years, and how David pretty much has conquered like most of the universe throughout finding multiple versions of David throughout the multiverse, and just goes to this Earth to conquer. It's crazy, and like we're seeing like like the intellect, and they're bringing in stuff from other runs of the characters, like Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda from Coach's run is a big part, is a part of this in the beginning. You got Miles showing up as a Spider-Man. You have the Hulk and Iron Man creating this city, this last utopia, which is inevitably a rocket ship that they're going to use to escape with when all else fails. And how Cap shows up at the last minute, and it's like, we can't save it. It's too fucking late with all these survivors, so they just fucking leave him while Hulk sacrifices himself. It was so much crazy shit happens in this book, and I'm really digging it. And also like that conversation with David, with David and Tony Stark about like about making a deal to like save the human race, or else I'm gonna like have the xenomorphs like come after come take y'all. It's really good. In fact, I think it's only 4 issues.
It's gonna be 4, I think. Yeah.
Like it's so far the story is really good. And if you like Alien, which again I rewatched all the Alien movies all the Alien movies chronologically to get ready for Romulus. Check this out, and it's really, really good. That is my honorable mentions, people. So now I'm gonna get into the best comics, like the actual like really good fucking comics. Like Mike, you need to cut down the honorable mentions next year. You got 30 minutes to wrap this up before I drop. Listen, I don't want them. I understand, but like, nah, I can't decide. These books need shine to them. They just gotta.
Dude, I saw that earlier, and I was trying not to die laughing right here.
Yeah.
You're literally like, who gives a fuck, dude? Wrap it up.
Yeah, but yeah. So we'll move on to the best comics. And there's Reggie's gonna hate it. Reggie, you might as well go to sleep now, because like I still got more.
Dude, you didn't even change the year. What year are we in?
Oh shit, my fault. I was supposed to say 2024, but you get the gist. Yeah, I remember I told you I got a good stack of books. So Rebecca, good night.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in.
Depending on how many of these you got, like you're getting like 5-sentence limits on each of these.
5-sentence limits, fine. It's fine. Yeah, but it's actually 17. But we're gonna breeze through. I know. I read so many bangers this year, dude. I couldn't. And there are books I cut because for the sake of time. But yeah, I mean, real quick, because you didn't have this on your list. It's on my bottom. Miles Morales Spider-Man. It's on the bottom. It's good, but like I didn't really care much about that Vulture arc. It was okay. What's bringing me back in is the stuff with Black Panther and Wakanda, and how it's going to be using the Bast and the gods to reprieve Miles of his vampirism. So that's really cool. But yeah, it's just Miles Morales. It's slow right now, but it's picking up. So that's why it's in the bottom. 16 is Blood Hunt. Blood Hunt was again good time to be a Blade fan. Seamus. Good time to be a Blade fan. I loved it. I loved it. It was a great event. Blade being the villain of the story, which was a surprise, and then having the entire Marvel universe fight vampires was sick as fuck. Again, it's at the bottom because it was just a nice little vampire event. Nothing really crazy, but yeah, it was really good time. And also Pepe Larraz killed it with the artwork again because he was my favorite artist of last year. So killed with the artwork.
Those villain designs were crazy,
bro. They were insane, and it sucks because like we're never gonna see him again. So like
yeah, but
it was good for the event.
Cool. Yeah,
and how he integrated Moon Knight to then come back when Mark Spector to come back. Was really cool. But yeah, really good stuff. Dope. Really good story. Really good event. Don't really read events, so this one was I had to because as a Blade fan I had to. All right, number 15, Philadelphia. Ronnie Barnes and Jason Shawn Alexander. Again, this was my number 1 last year. One reason why it dropped is because we only got like 3 issues of Philadelphia. They were good, but like it's just like I was like we're kind of at like a little grace period with it. Again, we need to see like Savage Dragon, Dragon talk to Malcolm, and which was a really cool moment. And obviously we got Blackula because we love Blackula up in here.
Love Blackula here.
Was a good book. 17 is so crazy. Yes,
I know.
I never said I was sane. Come on now.
I said 5, dude.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, Philadelphia is great. But again, we're on a grace period right now, and they're going on break, unfortunately, so I don't know when it's coming back. So, there's that. 14, Radiant Black, which is my number 2 last year. Kyle Higgins, Marcelo Costa, Image Comics. Seamus, why it's it's lower because we talked about it. This Catalyst War thing was kind of dragging. It was dragging a bunch. Although those last 3 issues for it were really good, especially that twist with the whole Malcolm section of the story, how like he was the failed universe the entire time, got everyone fucking killed, absorbed all their powers, and literally told the other timeline version of the character to be like, do better than I did, because like this is just fucked. And yeah, I thought the ending, the beginning of the war was good. The middle was like dragged a lot, but the ending I thought was really strong. And yeah, it kind of sets up the next step with the Radiant Black, which I'm very excited to talk about. But
the first time, yeah. I think it's the first time a comic vote has actually worked to make a cool story. So.
And then yeah, man, but it's I thought yeah, Radiant Black is still great, but just this event kind of like dropped it down a bit. So there's that. Number 13, Ultimate X-Men. Written art by Peter Moko. Again, Seamus talked about it a bunch already. It's good. Again, slow start, but I mean, it's been cooking it's been cooking a way more than Black Panther has. Peter Moko's artwork is incredible. I'm loving the dynamics of all the characters, these reimaginings of these characters. Again, very Runaways inspired, which you talked about, which I really appreciated. The cult stuff is good. It's a lot of fun. And after the last issue, I'm very excited to see what Peter Moko does next with the next one. Yeah, man. I want to see Molly. I want to see this version of Molly do her thing though. She hasn't done anything yet. She's been the crazy ass friend. So. Everyone else has been doing cool shit. Oh, also Psylocke. I don't even think they even showed Psylocke even have powers yet. So there's that. But other than that, I'm really enjoying Ultimate X-Men. It's good stuff. Number 12, Absolute Batman. Again, we talked about it a bunch already, but Scott Snyder is killing it. This again, that ending of the last issue where like this version of Batman's like, yeah, I'm gonna accept Last Mass offer because I don't think being poor and being Batman is doing me any good. I could do so much of that shit. I love that twist,
dude. He's gonna fucking like beat the shit out of Black Mask 100%. He's saying he's gonna take the deal. He's gonna show up and he's instantly gonna be like, "You fucking thought, dude." And he's gonna have one of those hooks go around Black Mask's neck, and then he's just gonna fucking like. Oh.
Yeah,
that's what I think is gonna happen with that.
But also, like, most of you didn't talk about as well, Alfred. I think that his dynamic with Alfred is also really good. Alfred being a spy and shit, but also like
it's cool. It's just I've seen the spy thing before, and I've just been like, it'll get really cool once Alfred has to work with Batman. You know what I mean? Instead of just being like this guy who's like, I kind of like him, but I kind of don't. You know?
Yeah, but he's mostly helping him out of curiosity, not kind of out of like circumstance, like Alfred in the main universe, which I really think was really cool. But yeah, Absolute Batman is great. That Batmobile being a dump truck and then like converting into like a like an actual like Batmobile at the end was kind of crazy. But yeah, it's really dope. And then the flashback's really interesting. Again, that concept with grief that with his friends watching Zorro was amazing, and I really appreciate it. But yeah, Scott Snyder, commend you. It's just lower on the list because it's not Absolute Wonder Woman. I'm not gonna be honest with you. It's just there's that. Yeah, next book, 11, Kill All Immortals, written by Zach Kaplan, wrote by Fico Ossio by Dark Horse. This book was a surprise. I just thought the title was cool. Downloaded a couple of the issues and was like, I'm gonna read this eventually. Read them all. This book is fucking sick. It's pretty much focusing on a rich Scandinavian family in modern day. Being interviewed, and one of the characters, who's this girl here, is interviewed by a journalist who finds out their secret that this girl, her 3 brothers, and their father are actually immortal Vikings, and their father is actually Eric the Red, and it's really cool. This book is pretty much like John Wick meets Succession because it's a really interesting family dynamic, but also really great action and violence. It is really good. There's 4 issues out right now, and yeah, I've never read Zach Kaplan's. This is the first time I'm ever hearing of both these guys, Zach Kaplan and Fico Ossio. But I think this book is hard as hell. Seamus, you would love it because again, it has that Succession element, but also great action. Yeah, it's really fun. Number 10.
Sounds interesting. Yeah.
Number 10, Birds of Prey.
Yep.
Birds of Prey. Kelly Thompson. Again, we love you. I want to get you on the show. This book is great. I think we mentioned it, but the arc where they were traveling through dimensions, the fact that Kelly Thompson put Vixen on the team and it works so fucking well. I was like, yes. It's great. The artwork by Leonardo Romero is really good as well. Again, very stylized, which I appreciate. The arc that they're on now, which again, Rebecca, if you're Cassie fan, Cassie's getting a lot of shine in this book, especially with this new arc right now, where she's like freeing the Amazons from this company that's trying to sell them to the highest bidder. Is really, really dope. Yeah, man. It's just, again, this book is this book is a surprise. It has been a surprise ever since it came out, and Kelly Thompson is killing it with it. I'm loving it a lot. Number 9, Transformers by Danny Warren Johnson, with art by Danny Warren Johnson and Jorge Corona. Again, we talked about it briefly last year because this is at the very bottom last year for me, just because it only had 2 issues out. Then this book kept going. It's really good. Again, like Michael Bay needs to learn, because there's some good human stuff in this book too that they do with like Spike and his female character and his friend that together. But yeah, they do a lot of really good stuff in this book. I hate Starscream. You know that I hate Starscream, but he's such a good character in this book. Like I cannot admit that. But yeah, and this book is so good. Again, it sucks that like Jenny Warren Johnson's doing so many stuff right now where like he can't draw the book, consistently. But I think Jorge Corona does a really good job. Emulating, like, continuing the vibe and the aesthetic of the book. I think it's great. Yeah, man, it's really good stuff. And yeah, the G.I. Joe stuff that they implement here too, it was really cool. Again, it's Energon Universe is a universe, so I really do appreciate that. And it's yes, Transformers is cooking. It's a really good book. Number 8, I said Uncanny Spider-Man. It's supposed to say Uncanny X-Men. But yeah, Uncanny X-Men by Gail Simone and art by David Marquez. Again, this I might personally, Seamus, you glazed X-Men, but this is my favorite. Again, because this is more of the roster that this is the roster I resonate with. Again, Rogue, Wolverine, Gambit, my boy, Nightcrawler, my other boy, and Jubilee together, pretty much on the run after Krakoa. And they're, again, like the X-Men, you were right. The X-Men is more like, why are we doing this? But then this roster is more like, let's kind of like, there's some hope at the end of the tunnel, even though we're down on our luck. And I love it. And the and the one thing that I really do enjoy about this is like the new mutants they introduce. I mean, are really dope. Like the new mutants, like with Calico, like Deathstorm. I think it's Deathstorm, Ransom, and the other and Jitter. Like, I love those characters, dude. They're really fun. And they kind of have a vibe of like the original 4 X-Men in terms of like their personalities, and like they're kind of like their arcs. It's really cool. Again, like that fight they had where the monsters and everything came to the Louisiana house they were staying at, and they all had to fight them all. They all had to like have like a last stand together. I thought it was awesome. And yeah, it's really cool. And then they're doing the whole crossover with X-Men right now with the prison. So it's a lot of fun. Gail Simone is killing it right now. Like I'm really enjoying this book, and yeah, it's just been banger after banger for me with this book. So yeah, Uncanny X-Men. Number 7, Blade by Brian Hill and art by Elena Casagrande. Blade finished this year, so it counts. It was really good, a really good setup for Blood Hunt, and it's just, again, I know Brian Hill's kind of in his bag right now with Black Panther, but I can't not give him his props because he gave us the best Blade book we've had in decades. so yeah, it's really good. The artwork's great. Again, Blade not fighting Deacon Frost and Dracula and a god instead. Good shit. And yeah, I mean, it pretty much ended as like a lead up to Blood Hunt, pretty much. And but again, it was really, really strong. And again, I want Brian Hill to do more Blade stuff, please. It's amazing. All right, so number 6, Absolute Wonder Woman. That's it. Bangs. See really that new issue, and I want to say real quick because you mentioned it with the arm thing. Love that this version of Wonder Woman is disabled. Like, I think that's like that's really good. That's low-key really good representation. Well, with this version of Wonder Woman. But yeah, the Hell stuff's great. The Maddox stuff's great. The Cersei stuff's great. The Steve Trevor stuff is great. Again, we said it before. We glazed it enough already. Keeping Wonder Woman the same, but having, just the dramatic change happen around her is great. And Kelly Thompson, again, it was her and Jed McKay. It was a battle between her and Jed McKay as my favorite writers of last year. Like, it was because she was killing it, dude. Especially with this. It's, again, I want you on the show. I want her on the show. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Number 5, and Seamus, I'm surprised. I'm actually disappointed you don't have this on your list, bro. I was disappointed. Not gonna lie, because we glazed this book like crazy when we did our 2022 Best and Worst Comics. But it's the sequel, A Nice House by the Sea by James Tynion IV and Alvaro Martinez Bueno from now DC Vertigo. Book is amazing. I mean, when this book was announced, we talked about it. I thought it was going to be a brand new story, same concept, brand new story, but separate.
Yeah, they instantly go like, no,
it's a
sequel,
and it works so well. Especially with the character of Oliver. What's up?
It's good. Here's the thing: the reason it wasn't on my top 5 is because it didn't break into my top 5. It would have been in my top 10. My only issue is that I don't think I like this cast as much as I like the original cast. But I like Oliver a lot, and I like that. I like, you know what I mean? I like that, but everyone else, I'm kind of like, I don't care as much as I did the original cast. It's just, and it's a very minor issue, and I know I'm kind of not supposed to care about them as much as the original, but like, it's just a thing about the book for me personally that I'm like, that's probably why it wasn't in my top 5 this year.
To be fair, I kind of agree with you on that because like the original cast, the new cast circumstances is different and a little bit less interesting due to the fact that they know what's going on. But the fact that but the best part about it is how the new cast is intertwined with the old cast that returns with it, and also the fact Oliver has a past with because he's mentioned in Night on the Lake and then just cut away from it and don't talk about it again. But the fact that he has a past with Walter, and at the same time the alien that's in this new cast has a past with Nora and Walter. So it's just it's the fact that it's coming full circle when it didn't need to is amazing. And again, James Tynion IV, man, is killing it with the whole. He's like the best horror writer right now, along with Rodney Barnes, bro. He's killing it, dude.
He's great.
And again, the artwork is Martinez Bueno is amazing. So there's that. But yeah, Vertigo. We will do Vertigo books in the future on the podcast because now Vertigo is back and technically indie. I consider it indie. So yeah. Number 4, and we talked about it before we started, Seamus, but Power Fantasy, Kieran Gillen, art by Casper Wingard. I only read the first 2 issues. and I immediately was like, this is gonna be on the top 5, like hands down. It is. This book is really good. I know you glaze Ultimates on being like, rivaling Watchmen in terms of how good it's gonna potentially be. I see the same thing with this book. I love their commentary on what if people with powers, especially people with world-shattering level powers, kind of was like, on would kind of, not really ruled the world, but like in a way kind of guided their world, guided the world in their own direction that seems in their minds is ethical and balanced. Like I think it's really cool, the dynamics between like the Atomics, who are the pretty much like the mutants of this world, or the property of this world, and just how they interact with the world, how they perceive it, like how it affects politics, and just it's really, really good. Casper Wingard, who I'm a fan of from Homesick Pilots, again, there's some really good artwork because he does the colors as well as the inks and the pencils. It's very mind-shattering stuff, like beautiful looking work. And again, there's like 5 issues out of this, and I'm gonna read the rest of these. But again, just the first 2 issues alone made me like really. I had to put this on the top 5. It was the themes that they were discussing were amazing, and I think this could potentially be like Watchmen-esque in terms of how good it is. So, along with Ultimates too, Seamus. So, there's that. But yeah, Power Fantasy. Please check it out. Please check it out. It's a must read. Number 3. I mean, it's obviously a guess because you already kind of glazed it. You glazed it, and I joined you in. But you guessed it. Ultimate Spider-Man. Number 3. Amazing book. Again, Hickman, phenomenal writer, giving the people what we've wanted with Spider-Man for like 2 decades at this point. Giving him a family, giving him, having him be an adult as Spider-Man, is great. Jonah and Ben, again, love that issue. His dynamic with Harry, you didn't mention, but with his dynamic with Harry I love that like their friendship, and how it may kind of go. It might kind of like go to the worst with him, like being more kind of like acting as like the potential villain of Green Goblin. I think it's really cool. But that ending at issue 12 with the Christmas special, and again showcasing, like during the holidays, like especially with a married couple, the wife is trying to get everything together while the husband is just doing his best, staying quiet, letting her do her own thing. But then that twist is like, oh no, he's not actually there. This is this version of the symbiote, or like this version of Venom, in his place, while he's actually like kidnapped by Kraven along with Harry. And we didn't talk about this, Seamus, but like the fact that like Peter being a 35-year-old with a family, and the fact that Kraven was able to figure out who he was, how that's going to affect his family going forward and their safety. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes and happens. But
I think Kraven's getting murked.
Oh really?
I think Harry's gonna kill Kraven.
Okay, I mean, maybe.
Right? Can you see that? Harry kills Kraven, and then Peter's instantly like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And Harry's like, "Dude, he knows who we are. He's gonna fucking, you know what I mean?" And Peter's like, "Yeah, he didn't know who we were, and he did. You know what I mean? He probably would have come after us, but also like, I don't know if I'm down with like." Just murking a dude like that, just fucking killing him,
dude. So, yeah, that'd be a cool
turn. I think it's gonna go.
Yeah, but yeah, man. But so far, Ultimate Spider-Man has been amazing, and again, it's the best Spider-Man book I've read in a long time. And again, it's just comes to shows that like, just give people what they want, and it'll work out. I mean, this was like this and Absolute Batman were the best 2 books of 2022, 2024 in terms of sales. So. It's amazing, and I love it. So it's Ultimate Spider-Man, Jonathan Hickman, Marco Checchetto. Good stuff. Number 2 is actually a book that I personally think I enjoyed more than Ultimate Spider-Man, just because again it's simple, but it's very. It has something to say about not just like just comics, but just the industry as a whole. It's none other than Public Domain. By Chip Zdarsky from Image. This book is pretty much this is straight up Chip Zdarsky giving a commentary on the story of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. straight up. And you know their divide within the industry, and it is really, really good. It's very meta because they talk about a lot of stuff that we complain about the industry, and you know things that we've also loved about the industry, and but also like giving us a nice, really cool like you know family story. Pretty much, it's just like you know, and the idea of you know what happens when the biggest superhero in the world, who you created, was taken from you to then you know be capitalized into franchises and to nonsense. But then you find out that hey, the truth has come out that you actually own the character, and you figure out what to do with it. So like it's pretty much just like, what if Jack Kirby got his comeuppance and got his lick back a little bit? And
yeah,
I think it's really good. If again, I don't think a lot of people are talking about this book, but please check it out. And the artwork is great from Chip Zdarsky. And yeah, if you love comics, like if you are a comic book fan and just love and care about the industry, this is a story that you have to read. I think it's a must for me. And it also has a meta thing. I only read like the first issue, but the comic book that the Dallas family actually end up making for the Domain actually is a comic that you could actually read by Chip Zdarsky. So it's really cool, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. But James, have you checked out Public Domain at all? I think we've talked about it before.
Yeah, you were telling me to read it, and I got to the first issue, and I really liked it. It's just I had so many other things to read at the time that I was like, I wanted to wait until the whole thing was out, and I had like a free period where I could just go through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
yeah, well,
I liked the first issue from what I read. I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I strongly recommend if please check this book out. It's phenomenal. And my last book, my number one. Clearly, you could tell if you were here for the award show part, what my number one is. But my number one book of 2024 is none other than Vengeance of Moon Knight and Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu, written by Jed McKay, art by Alessandro Cappuccio. Seamus, this is the Moon Knight was your favorite book of last year, right? For 2023. Yeah. And I told you I only read the first volume, so of that run. So I took it upon myself while you were reading Philadelphia. I read Moon Knight. I read all of the original Moon Knight run. That was phenomenal, and was prepared to read this. This was just as good. Again, it's just, this, especially with this new version of Moon Knight, which was revealed to be the Shroud, and then the tie-ins to Blood Hunt, and then having the return of Mark Spector, and on top of that with Fist of Khonshu, I can honestly say without a doubt, and again, I love me some Jeff Lemire, love me some Charles Houston and David Finch run, I even like the Bendis run, but this...
Oh, you like the Bendis run, man?
I like it a little. It has issues, but
yeah,
this run of Moon Knight is by far, I think this is the best Moon Knight run of all time, hands down. The amount of care that's been put into it, again, because the creative team, how well they work together, and the synergy to make something amazing. Even though the series initially launched because the Moon Knight show is coming out, and they strayed away from that, and we're like, we're gonna do our own thing, have fun with it, let fans eat with them, some of the references they bring up from the previous Moon Knight runs, and even like the West Coast Avengers stuff. It's amazing. It's an amazing series, and Jed McKay is just gonna let it run continuously because he's gonna relaunch it again, and yeah, if you are new to if you love Moon Knight or you want to get into the character, you have to read Moon Knight, Vengeance of the Moon Knight, and Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu. It's the best Moon Knight run of all time, period. And especially with that last issue, Seamus, that last issue is gonna go crazy because they're wanting fugitives right now. So
yeah,
it's gonna be good stuff.
We love a good fugitive arc.
Mm-hmm. But also shout out to it's not on my list, but even though I did read it, Phases of Moon Knight, the anthology, is also really good. So
yeah,
it's really fun. So yeah, Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu, my number one book of 2024, and yeah, that's all I got. That's it. We went through it, and made fairly good time too. But yeah, Seamus, we could. How many books you got for your anticipate? I only got like 4. So.
gosh, I don't even know if I the only anticipated one I have was that that Doom event they announced. I'm really interested to see what they do with that entire thing, because I've liked how Ryan North has written Doom, and I was very interested with how Jed MacKay used Doom as the stopping point of Blood Hunt. So I'm interested to see what they do with that, because we haven't had Doom as the villain of an event since like almost a decade ago with Secret Wars, I think. So you know, I'm interested to see what they do with that, just because it seems like they're putting Doom back on top with a whole world-changing event. But yeah, that was really interesting to me. I was looking up others, and I don't really have anything that I'm too. Maybe I'm just leveling my expectations so that way I can be pleasantly surprised rather than disappointed. But yeah, that was really the only one that I have hopes for, just because it's a Doom event. So
I got you. I mean, I honestly that's not on my radar, but I'm probably just gonna get my updates from you. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I thought that was a cool part of Blood Hunt at the end when Doom became Sorcerer Supreme. So yeah, I mean, maybe I'll check out the first issue and see if I like it. But I mean, I'm mostly gonna get my updates from you, to be honest with you. But yeah, for me, I'm just gonna run through like breeze through really quick, and obviously, Seamus, if you have any thoughts on it, you can chime in, of course.
Yeah.
But my Mantis my first one that I got here, for anticipated books of 2020. Again, it's wrong. It's whatever. We're moving on.
You probably have this on your list. I mentioned it earlier, but Ultimate Wolverine. I forgot about that.
It is on there. Yeah. So
yeah,
Black Canary, Best of the Best. I know, Seamus, you said you read it. I didn't know Aaron Campbell was drawing it. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I love Aaron Campbell. He's great.
Listen,
but yeah, I mean,
I shit on Tom King this whole time, but the first issue of this was really good. So next year he might be back.
Next year might be back. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Black Canary fan. Again, loving her in Birds of Prey, and also Barter on the Birds of Prey. So we'll see how this goes. But again, I didn't know Aaron Campbell was drawing this. Yeah, I'm gonna get in on it. Next one was Daredevil Unleash Hell, written by Erica Schultz with art by Paolo Sequeira. This is pretty much again to get hyped up for the Daredevil TV show, but this is gonna be Elektra Daredevil versus Muse, and it's gonna be red band, so it's gonna be like R-rated pretty much.
Nice.
So we'll see how that goes. The next one, Seamus, we've been waiting for this shit for a year, because I thought they were gonna mention this after we read the one shot from last year. But Power Man Timeless, written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly from Marvel, this new one shot, pretty much is like the sequel one shot to the Timeless one shot from last year. Again, I've been waiting to see more of this character ever since they teased like his future at the end of that one shot. So we're back where in the fact that he's in the main universe now, and to see what he's gonna do is gonna be cool. I didn't really read a synopsis or anything, but like I just want to see my boy Power Man back. The total Timeless Power Man back, and see what he did with him, man. He was a dope ass character. So yeah, and you mentioned it already, but Ultimate Wolverine, by Christopher Condon and art by Alessandro Capuccio. Again, it's gonna be sad that like Alessandro's gonna be leaving Moon Knight to do this book, but seeing what the artwork that we've seen from the Ultimate Universe, 1 year in one shot at the end, I'm ready for it. And the fact that this one,
he's not Capuccio isn't leaving permanently, right? Because isn't this only a mini series?
I don't know. I thought he was. I thought he was to make time for this. I thought he was to make. Yeah. I could be wrong.
No. I'm saying he definitely could be leaving. I just thought it was only for a period of time, because I thought Ultimate Wolverine was a mini, not an ongoing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I assumed Ultimate Wolverine wasn't ongoing, but I mean, again, I could be wrong.
Let me see. I'm peeping it. Continue with yours, and then I'll come back with the news.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, it's just Wolverine. Well, the Winter Soldier, and we're gonna see the Rasputin side of the Makers Council is gonna be really cool to see. I think the artwork looks dope. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing Ultimate Wolverine and seeing what the story potential is gonna be. Next one, Batman Gargoyle of Gotham number 3 through 4. So Gargoyle by Raphael Grandpa. So this book was my favorite, as well as on my list for my favorite books of last year. It took a break for a whole year. This book just came out issue number 3 just came out like last month. So and it's gonna be, and it's only a 4-issue miniseries. But if you haven't read Gargoyle of Gotham yet, just do it. It is such a good Batman like Elseworld story, and it is honestly like on my top 5 favorite Batman stories of all time. It's really good. But yeah, man, it's awesome. But yeah, next up, Absolute Flash by Jeff Lemire and Nick Robles. Again, don't really know much about this book. I know pretty much it's focusing on Wally, which again it should, because Wally is the best Flash. And the fact that there's no Flash family is awesome. And just seeing like what's Wally, what's up.
I didn't like the costume they revealed for this, but I do like Jeff Lemire, so I was like,
yeah, I know we talked about it like at some point. Yeah, like the costume is it's hit or miss. I honestly think it's better when Nick Robles is drawing it rather than like Jeff Lemire drawing it himself.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. Just because I love Jeff Lemire, so, and seeing what is Wally gonna do just being the only Flash. So like no Flash family, no Speed Force, and figuring out on his own. I think that's gonna be really interesting to see. And the last one is Radiant Black number 31. Now by Kyle Higgins and Joe Clark, with art by Eddie Ferragato from Image. So this again, like with Radiant Black on my list, this is now going to be the rebuild initiative. Now that Malcolm is the only Radiant Black now. So that we're seeing now Marshall is the only Radiant Black now. So now seeing Ryan's gone. I don't think he's gonna be coming back to the book. So his character is retired. But seeing Marshall take on the mantle of Radiant Black and seeing what he does with the mantle now, and how he's going to not become the Radiant Black from the alternate future. I think it's gonna be really cool. And yeah, man, this is Seamus. I think you voted for Marshall, right?
I did vote for Marshall because I thought it's a bigger shakeup than if Ryan just got it back.
Mm-hmm. Even though I thought when they did the twist with Marshall with the second half of the half issues, I thought the twist was that Marshall isn't a good fit to be Radiant Black. But no, it's just that version of Marshall wasn't a good fit. But maybe this one has potential to be a great, hero and better with the mantle than Ryan ever was. So, but yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. And yeah, man, hopefully we'll get this rebuild will be not another slump. So hopefully it kicks off and builds up. But yeah, Seamus, that's pretty much all I got with Anticipated. I mean, just those 5 books. Probably more.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm excited to see Absolute Martian Manhunter and Absolute Green Lantern as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said Denise Camp was one of my favorites of this year, so I think him with his ideas coming to Absolute Martian Manhunter sound interesting as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea that John Jones is a cop who's being possessed by an alien force that manifests itself as a Martian because it just uses John's preconceived notions of aliens to give him the most comfortable thing, which is just like a Martian from Mars.
Yeah.
And that like claymation style they have going on in a comic just looks really interesting. And I think an Absolute Green Lantern being Joe Mullen is like really cool too.
Joe is like, again, Far Sector was dope and is underrated.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for those. I think added to Absolute Flash and the other ones you mentioned.
Okay. I mean, another one I would also add as well is Blade, the new Blade that just dropped from Brian Hill. Like the Red Band. It was really good. Did you read it? I think I told you to read it because I was like, you have to read this shit. It was amazing.
I haven't gotten to it yet, but it is on the list.
They introduced a villain that is known within vampire lore that I don't think Blade has ever faced before. So I'm very excited to see what Brian Hill does with it. Again, he writes Blade really well. So in the artwork, I think is better than Elena Casagrande's artwork for sure. Because even though Elena Casagrande was good, some of her artwork was she had moments where I was like, yeah, that doesn't look right. But this artist is like perfect for it. But yeah, the new Blade book, I think for sure I'm gonna check out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of the whole wrap up. I know it was a long one, but it was fun. It was a fun conversation. I was also gonna say the worst comic that I just remember. I only read the first 2 issues. It's disappointing mostly, but not really bad. Just disappointing. But Predator versus Black Panther. Yeah. I didn't put it on there because like I know the artist. I'm friends with the artist personally, so like I can't. But
yo, send this to him right now. Y'all, this is the art trash, bro.
But he wasn't. But their artwork was definitely really good. It's just the story just wasn't. It's just like I didn't really think it was that interesting. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah. But that's a shame. That was 2024, man. 2024, man. Yeah. It was a good fucking year for comics. Like again, a lot of bangers. A lot of bangers. Clearly, I had 17 books that were all bangers. And not a lot of bad. I mean, there were some bad ones, obviously, but like I don't have a laundry list. So, but yeah, man. So I mean, that's pretty much it, people. Thanks for everyone who are watching this or will watch this. We appreciate it. Please, check out. Please comment, like, subscribe. What was your favorite comic book of this year? What was of last year? What was your worst comic book of last year? Is there any comments just any comments that we didn't mention? Just let us know down in the comments below. Hit the notification bell so you know when we drop new videos. Thanks again for all the love on our absolute DC discussion clip, as well as our Ultimate Marvel clip, which is getting like I think it's like 1.2k views, which we really appreciate it. Yeah, man, we're almost at 300 subscribers, so yeah, we're getting up there in the world, I guess. Obviously, we put blood, sweat, and tears into the content we make. And the fact that y'all are digging it really means a lot. And yeah, it's just it gives us it's a nice little stress reliever to just talk about comic books and nerd shit on the internet. So it means a lot. Also, just quick update: Deadly Class is coming back. I keep saying that, but it's actually gonna come back. I promise you. I got better internet this time, so it's gonna come back. And yeah, just check out more videos. We also check out our Superman reaction as well, because that was a lot of fun. Talking about the Superman trailer, and yeah, people. We're gonna. It's a new year, new indie corner. We're gonna try to pump out more content. Than last year. Last year was a little slow, but we're gonna try to be more consistent. And I got some plans in the works. Definitely some interviews. That's going to be a big thing for me this year, just trying to get some more interviews. So just stay tuned for that. As always, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Get home safe. We'll catch y'all next time. All right. Peace.
Peace.